Okay. Okay, so it's already recording. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Doc.
Yes.
For today, we will be your let us say your substitute lecturer for this day. Okay.
No, you are not the real lecturers. every
Doc,
one of you, every one of
Doc.
you is a lecturer. Okay,
Yes.
you can always have an exchange, and
Yes.
we have lead lecturers this morning. There are two. Okay, so you can begin.
Okay. So our framework for today, or our time framework for today, will be first is Michelle. We're going to discuss the philosophies of education. So a brief explanation or brief lectures for that one, and then after her brief lectures is will be my next is my lectures about critical thinking. And then after critical thinking, we're going to have a small open forum, at least around 5 minutes. So just to sum up of the lectures that we had, and then after the forum question or the open forum questions, we will proceed to the two presentation for today. Okay, so the Philippines first? Is it the Philippines first, or the Thailand group? Okay. So and then each each presentation or each team will be given around 20 to 30 minutes. Okay. 20 to 30 minutes to present their papers. And then
Okay.
after presentation of their papers, we're going to have a of a question and answer based on your report. That's all for today. Yes, the floor is yours, Ma'am Mitch.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Fred. Good morning, my fellow doctoral
Hello. Good morning.
students.
Good morning,
Good
ma'am.
And
morning.
yes, and to our esteemed professor, Dr. Alfredo Aquino.
Yes.
It's nice to see you all bright and early this morning, this Saturday morning. We are still on the precipice of our doctorate journey, and the summit is still far up there. But we are all enkindled in the pursuit of our purpose to be of relevance, to upgrade, and to contribute to the world of education. Okay, so my let me present briefly. Give me time, like 5 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, you have to time me. Okay, I'm going to present a very short. Okay, is it is it visible? Let me know if it's visible. Yeah. Okay. So this morning my task is all about the world philosophies and their closely related educational philosophies. But before I'm going to start, let me pose a question. What is your preferred, or what is your favorite, or what could be your, if you're going to have a school in the future, what philosophy will closely be related to the one you like, or what philosophy would your school be guided, and why? Okay. So philosophy is defined as the study of fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence, especially when considered as an academic discipline. While educational philosophy is the implications of the philosophy to education. So what are these world philosophies? Okay, but before that, let us ponder, why is it important for teachers to study the educational philosophy? What's in it for us? Why do you have to study all of this? It is said that educational philosophy helps to decipher, to decode the path of learning. Speaking of path, so when we feel lost in our path, we need a map, right? Our teaching philosophy, which could be aligned with our school philosophy, or maybe some other teachers will have their own philosophy. So teaching
Yes.
philosophy, yes, has been defined as the map which provides direction to move ahead. I believe everybody, all of us have our own teaching philosophy. So
Yes.
once we know our path, you will be helping your students to plan to reach their destinations. Or could be you have your path, but then your students also have their will for their destinations, right? Okay. So what are these world philosophies? So they are idealism, realism, pragmatism, and existentialism. While the educational philosophies that are closely related to them are essentialism, perennialism, progressivism, reconstructionism, and constructionism. As I searched them, I was trying in my head to make mnemonics so I can really connect myself to them. So I am trying to get the definition with their main word. Okay, so let's talk about idealism from the word idea in our mind. So it states that since the physical world is constantly changing, is it it? It's
Yes.
ideas are the only reliable form of reality. I think it could be true.
Yes.
So for
It is based on
idealists,
the reality.
yes, for idealists, their tendency is believing. Okay. Now, how about the realism's point of view? Realists believe that the features of the universe exist whether or not you are there to perceive them. Like I haven't been to to the moon, but still in reality the moon exists without me seeing it, right? So that's the view of a realist. And the realist tendency is feeling, like feeling with all of your senses. How about pragmatism? Pragmatism states that rather than following theories or rules, you must demonstrate it, apply it, or connect it to your interest, which is also, yeah, good, right? You don't have to follow theories or rules, you have to experience it. So the word is experience. For the pragmatist, experiencing is the reality. How about existentialism from the word exist? So it states that individuals create their own existence in their own unique way. But then, when you create your own existence, your freedom to choose, there comes a responsibility. So you should be responsible of your choices. Okay, from the word existentialism, their tendency is choosing. So, idealism, believing, realism, feeling, pragmatism, experiencing, existentialism, choosing. Now, how are these world philosophies being related to some of our educational philosophy? Let's start with essentialism. It's closely related with idealism and realism. Essentialism from the word essentials, right? I can hear when they say during the pandemic, these are the essentials. So, what are the essential commodities? What are the basic? So, essentialism states that the academic skills, and the knowledge is the most important thing that we need to impart to our students. And they base their evaluation and test scores, and the sad part is that learning they are into learning passively, where the teacher is the authority in the classroom. Now let's go to perennialism, which is also has a similarity to essentialism. So for perennialism, they also aim to rigorously develop all the students' intellect first, moralities second. So that's perennialism. Now let's go to progressivism, which is closely related and influenced by pragmatism. So we know pragmatism is all about experience. So progressivism, it means you need to explore. Uh, The core is science. You need to experiment. Actually, I'm an advocate of progressivism, which we highly adapt in our classroom because we are on individualism. We want to individualize learning like that. So for progressivism, it's all about real problem solving. So real world problem solving. Okay, how about Reconstructionism, from the word reconstruct? Okay, so Reconstructionism uh, is giving an importance to shaping the society. So their aim is to change the society, and the teacher and the students have this responsibility to address the social inequities in our society. So it makes use of critical thinking and asking questions. Okay, so it's closely uh, influenced by pragmatism, which is also about experiencing, yes, and also existentialism. Constructionism. So, constructionism is talking, let's think about construct. Construct, it means to build. Their aim is to build the knowledge of the students, but it should be learning by doing and it should be made in public. Now, it has come to the development of the strategies STEAM, like science, technology, engineering, art, and math, right? So I can also relate to constructionism because I am the STEAM teacher of kindergarten, and I find it really imperative that that early childhood has the STEAM activities. Okay, moving on. So that's the last one. Okay, so I that's very brief. So I'm going to end my brief lecture by this saying from Glasser. His statement is getting the job done, even well done, is good enough for non-professionals. But continually improving the way the job is done for both themselves and others is the hallmark of professionals. So, congratulations, everybody, for listening. And that's all. Thank you. I hope that's brief.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Michelle, for for your for your POB of the word philosophy, okay, about educational philosophies. Okay,
Yes.
so every educators, okay, as an educators, so we have our own philosophy. We share our philosophies with others, with the other person with the same common ground. Okay, so we try to connect those philosophies in our life as well in our community. So our community is the school and also our students. Okay, so thank you very much for that one, Ma'am Michelle. And then the next one, the next one will be, I will be presenting to you my topic. Okay, so let me share my slide. Can you see my slide? Can you see it, mom and sir? Okay.
Yes, it's
Yes,
So,
visible.
yes, yes, sir. Good morning, Dr. Alpha.
good
Yes, good
morning,
morning.
Good
Sir Chris.
morning. Good morning, Sir
Good
Good
morning.
Chris.
Good
morning.
morning to everybody. So, uh, on the pictures itself, I want everybody to give their perception, give your perspective on these pictures. So we're going to have a little bit of sharing. Okay, as you can see on the picture. So I'll give you 1 minute to have your idea of this one, and then we can start from there our sharing. Anyone? you are free to give your perspective on this on these pictures or in this illustration.
May I, sir?
Yes, yes, ma'am, go.
I think based on that picture, the teacher is trying to align something or making a brain sync with with her maybe idea, and make it aligned with the students, or it could be in the rude sense, which is say he's trying to enforce something and make everyone believes the same, to believe the same, like
Okay.
that.
Yes, yes,
So pwede,
any. Yes, sir.
can I have some words dun sa
Yes,
yung picture?
yes, sir,
Matanong ko
go.
lang yung hawak ni teacher ba is gunting ba yun? Parang
Yes,
gunting.
sir. Yes,
Ay,
sir.
okay. I think, sige. Can I have my opinion or
Yes,
idea
sir.
lang?
Go, 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 sir. Go, go.
Uh, One way or the one technique of the teacher that is being implied or being showed there is parang binibigyan niya ng something na enhancement yung mga kabataan or yung mga bata.
Okay.
And at the same time, since she is a teacher, so she guided, then help, instruct, lahat na ng klase ng kanyang kumbaga yung evaluation and lahat ng kanyang pwedeng gawin sa mga bata as a teacher.
Okay.
Thank you po.
Welcome.
Okay,
Yes,
Sir
sir,
Fred.
Cyrus. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am. Go.
Sige, si Sir Cyrus muna.
Yes, sir,
Hello.
Sai.
Hello po. Sir, for me that is a traditional classroom. Kasi halip na dapat iba't iba yung way ng thinking ng mga estudyante, which is parang dinidiktahan po ng guro kung paano mag-iisip ang bata. Kagaya niyan, 'di ba? Kagaya ngayon sa ating pong curriculum sa ating sa dito sa Pilipinas,
No.
ang mga bata na kung ano ang alam ng guro, yun din dapat ang alam nila. We should let our students to think of their own as long as tama ang
Yes.
tinatahak nilang sagot. Yun po. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you, sir, Sai. Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
Charlotte.
Ako
Ah, yes,
muna sa
yes, 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 ma'am, Luz.
um that is the authority of the teacher exercised in the classroom.
Hinihintay ko
So
yung bang kung
natin, as we
matutuloy.
can see
Sabi mo, wala
from
pa
all
eh.
of the ideas that was
Tapos yan pa.
that were given a while back, that is the teacher being authoritative. There is no freedom to think. There's no freedom to choose because of the authority of the teacher inside the classroom. So
Uh,
basically, as it was mentioned a while back, all of the students are to be thinking as according to how the teacher think. The teacher patterns everything inside the classroom. So we have the authority of the teacher inside the classroom. Okay, so
Could it,
kung si Sir Cyrus sa Philippines ang kanyang example, ako naman is here in Thailand. Okay, the students are to be conditioned like that here in Thailand. The students are conditioned to memorize only, not to
rote
understand.
learning?
Okay, that is according to my observation. For my 3 years in teaching in Thailand, the Thai students are only to be taught to memorize, not to think, not to reason out, because of that is in line with their Buddhism as culture, their Buddhism culture, because of they are taught to obey the authority in the society.
So
Okay.
what philosophy does it closely related to?
Is it
What do you think?
imperialism, ate? Is it
Ah,
imperialism?
Perennialism, do you think?
Do you
Yeah, could
think? I
be,
don't
right?
know.
yes,
Yeah,
Could
I
be.
think so. Perennialism,
yeah,
yes,
it
Okay.
could be, it could be.
Perennialism.
yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
would
ma'am.
go
the,
there.
the keyword kuya from Sir Cyrus and Ate Lolita is the keyword is authoritarian and democratic, right?
Yes,
With the picture na showing. Yeah, as what the Ate Lolita said, and you can share also, said Sir Fred, about our experiences in Thailand. Is like most of the students here in Thailand are reading and memorizing, so we can apply those philosophies that Ate Michelle discussed today, so that the students can get more of our strategies, like, because most of the Thai teachers are just feeding, like Ate Michelle, if you can visit like Thai schools, right? They will just say
Mm-hmm.
a and mot, right? They will just memorize that one
Yes,
from
the rote learning.
nursery to like grade 6, and they will teacher B ball, like just like that, and then they don't know the sounds, the phonics, and then because of memorization, and that's the I think the picture is says about here in Thailand of the way they are teaching also, kuya.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on the pictures before we proceed? Okay. So thank you very much for your point of view or for your perspective on the pictures it said. So while listening to your sharing and to your answer, I can relate to that one, that every one of us as a teacher, we are always talking about our students on how they think, okay, on how they should perceive, on how they should learn, okay. So on the pictures itself, that I can see that most most of us, the first thing that we saw the pictures is, the first thing that we need to do is we think, okay. We think about the pictures, we process it in our mind, we try we try to organize the thoughts, okay. So this exercise will be coming on my discussion. So my discussion will be about the word thinking, okay. So like what I said a while ago, that when someone asks a question to us or so show something to us, a pictures like what I uh, do a while ago, is you start to process, the information, you start to think, okay. You ask question, okay, you ask question, and then you process the information, and then you give your perception, you give your perspective. So that is the way of thinking, okay. So before we start, let me ask, what is thinking? What is thinking based on the discussion that we have? So thinking is a process of solving a problem. We try to solve, okay, connecting on the pictures that I showed to you. You try to solve, you try to ask question about the problem, okay. So when we try to think and then we try to solve the problem, we are going to have an intelligent decision. You are going to have, or we are going to have a decision, okay, make based on the information that process in our brain, okay, making intelligent decision. So thinking definitely is about process of solving problem plus making intelligent decision, will be equals to our purpose of life and fulfilling goals, okay. So this is based on John Chappie, okay. So a thinking can be two factors, can be solve the problem and can making intelligent decision. So when I hear your answer, when I hear your answer, your point of view on the pictures, that we are making an intelligent decision, we are making an intelligent representation of the pictures by citing our own experience, okay. So based on our own experience, we can find our purpose of life. What is our purpose of life? Based on the philosophy, that Miss Michelle shared to us a while ago. Okay, so based on that one, we can find our purpose of life and we can fulfill the goals. Next one, thinking. Thinking. There are two kinds of thinking. The first one is critical, a critical thinking. So how do we think critically? Okay, and then there is another one which is the creative thinking. Okay, so in critical thinking we try to solve, we try to process the information, we try to question, we try to ask question, we try to solve the problem. So that is a critical thinking, but a creative thinking is the product of our critical thinking. Creative thinking is we are going to make something, we are going to make change based on the problem that we would like to solve. We are trying to find solution. Critical is just more on we try to ask question, we try to uh, process the information, and then when we process the information we try to find solution, which is we are going to find the solution in a creative way. Okay, so I will just unshare the screen, and I would like you to watch a short video about critical and creative thinking. Let me share, sir and ma'am.
Critique, or the artist, between critical and creative thinking.
Oh,
Or the artist,
can you hear mom and sir? Can you hear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Okay, so let me okay.
between critical and creative thinking. Critical thinking is the general term given to a wide range of cognitive skills and intellectual disposition. These skills are used to effectively identify, analyze and evaluate arguments and truth claims, to discover and overcome personal preconceptions and biases, to formulate and present convincing reasons in support of conclusions, to make reasonable, intelligent decisions about what to believe and what to do. Creative thinking is thinking that produces novel, appropriate, useful, correct or valuable response to the task at hand. The task is heuristic rather than algorithmic. Main difference between critical and creative thinking? While there are few overlapping characteristics, critical thinking focuses on examining and understanding something, while creative thinking focuses on producing new and useful ideas. Critical thinking is applied by generating questions which helps you to understand the problem better. Creative thinking is applied by generating novel and useful alternatives to change the item, or to solve a problem. Everyone is critical and creative. You just get better the more you use your critical ability or your creative ability. Practice makes perfect.
Okay.
Through my online store alone, we've
Ay, ano yun?
So going back, going back again, going back again on the critical and creative thinking. So we already understand about that critical is like more on solving the problem, right? We try to evaluate, we try to think, okay? And then the creative thinking is the way on how we are going to solve the
Tuloy,
problem,
tuloy yung
on how we're going to have changes,
9:30.
okay?
Pinabili
So
ko. 9 to 10:30. Sabi ko, alis tayo.
Next, next is next is on the educational perspective. So critical thinking has a five or six component. So the first one is analyzing. So in analyzing, we try to ask question. We try to identify the problem itself. The second one is we try to reason out. We try our reasoning. The third is we try to solve the problem. And then we are going to evaluate, and then we're going to have a decision making. So this is the five component of the critical thinking. So how we are going to connect this critical thinking in the following areas of education, especially an educational perspective: philosophical, sociological, psychological, ideological, and modernist. So in philosophical, the one that Miss Michelle or Ma'am Michelle already stated to us is that critical thinking is part of the essentialism. So we try to find those essential. We try to analyze, okay? We try to reason out, okay? We try to solve the problem. We try to find the essential. We try to think of it, okay? So in connecting with the components of the critical thinking is the essential, because we try to gain knowledge, not just academically, but based on our own experience. Next one, we can connect it into progressivism. So we try to progress, we try to experience, okay? We try to solve the problem based on what is happening to us in our surrounding. Next one is perennialism. Okay, we try to find the meaningful events that is happening. We try to think of it. And then the next one is excess, existentialism. Okay, so in sociological educational perspective is functionalism. We try to find what is the function, what is our function in the society. We try to think of it. Okay, and then the next one is the conflict theory. So we try to choose, okay? We try to choose using our critical thinking. And then the symbolic and the interaction theory. So this sociological theory is already explained to us by Dr. Afa in our first session, okay? The next one is it can be based in our psychological in the constructivism. We try to construct, okay? We try to connect using our metacognition, our cognitive. Next one is in behaviorism. So we try to connect our critical thinking based on our behavior, based on our judgment. Okay? So the next one is in ideology, is in the idea, the idealism. Okay, like what Ma'am Michelle mentioned to us is we try to believe, we try to find the connection. Okay, ideological educational perspective, in critical thinking. So in the idealism, we need to find the three main implication, which is the theory before practice. We try to think it logically, and we try to impose with a high value of the liberal education, and we need to experience. Okay, so based on our experience, we can derive on a good judgment, we can derive in making intelligent decision, okay, based on the ideological educational perspective. And the next one is the development. We try to develop as a human, as a human being, we try to develop this critical thinking, okay? That as a human being, we have this innate cognitive or biological potential toward to a final destination. So this is how we are going to connect the critical thinking in this five educational perspective. Okay. So this is now. Oh, can you still hear me, class? Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes
So
po.
I just my connection is lost. Technical problem.
Okay lang naman, sir. We can hear you. We can still
Uh,
hear you.
can you still see my
Yes, we can see your
uh
slides
Yes,
and we
we
can
okay.
hear you.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So this is now what education critical thinking implies. So we have the debate, we have the
Yan na, wala na. Ayan na. Lost connection na si sir.
Connection problem.
Yeah.
Awano.
Ano na lang, intermission number.
Intermission number by Ma'am Lolita.
Intermission number TikTok by Sir Christian and Sir Ranin. Sir Ranico. Ayan na, oh. Ayan na, nagko-collab na sila. Ayan na, oh. Ayan na, tama.
But I have something to say. In fairness of the Thai system of education, when it comes to kindergarten, am I audible? Okay, when it comes to
Yes.
kindergarten, I can say that I can commend them for having the initiative of having this STEAM projects in kindergarten as opposed to rote learning, right? You said a while ago, Ma'am Lolita, that they are so they want their students to be aligned with what they're thinking. It's all about rote learning and everything. They learn passively. But then in kindergarten now, in all of the public schools in kindergarten, they have this little scientist house, a project by the Queen, where as little as 4 to 6 years old, they have to make an experiment. They have to prove theories like that, prove concepts. So I think that's going to be from kindergarten and consistent to elementary and high school. Then it will change the way Thai education is will be. Yeah.
We
So
hope, we hope. Kasi
yeah.
kasi I'm teaching Matayim students, right? High school students. And that is what I observe. They are not to practice critical thinking. They're very low when it comes to analysis. So even though English communication ang tinuturo ko, parang because we were trained in the Philippines to develop our students or our pupils to practice critical thinking as early as
Yes.
elementary pa lang. But here, when I went to Thailand, talagang I was culture shock because of the students don't want to think. The students are only trained to memorize. The vocabulary, kung ano lang binigay mo, yun lang. Pag nagbigay ka ng essay na sa iyong exam, they are lost already. So yung binigay mong definition ng word, yun lang ang ilalagay nila. So ibig sabihin, so I hope na yung
Cannot think
program
out of
yun,
the box.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
yes.
that the program that is to start during the kindergarten today, as you had mentioned,
Yes.
would be carried through hanggang sa
True.
sila ay mag-high school, so that we can have also the changes that we want to see sa ating mga Thai students. Kasi tayo kasi as the Filipino teachers, kahit saan tayo mapunta, we still carry the responsibility as teachers. Yung hindi ko naman
Yes.
sa binababa yung mga ibang lahi, kundi Yung mga ibang lahi kasi, they're only after the salary. Tayo kasi, we're after, of course, we're after the salary. But
Yeah,
definitely, ang parang we feel disappointed kapag
true.
hindi natin nakikita yung changes sa ating mga estudyante as Filipinos.
Oh,
Yun
yes,
yung critical thinking that is what we're looking for as teachers, as Filipino teachers to develop
true.
our students. Ayan.
We really have that distinct character na, to being
Ayan na.
passionate. Sir
Dami
Ronnie,
na
may
namin nasabi,
sasabihin.
Sir Fred.
Sir Ronnie, may sasabihin si Sir Ronnie.
Ayun po. So, in relation to that, so like here in the US, I'm teaching math. So, math is you need to finding the facts, right? So, you need to find solutions, something like that. So, napakababa po talaga ng in terms of level of understanding. Kasi, I just observe when I'm teaching math, I'm teaching senior high school algebra. The way, I told them that if we're going to solve math, I mean, so there is a lot of solutions. There's a lot of solution steps. Even you're using different kinds of solutions, as long as you come up with the same answer is correct. But they are very stagnant to that kind of solution. So, meron akong estudyante, nagreklamo sa akin, Mr. L, bakit ganyan? Why you are solving like this if we learn something like this? So, they don't want
They're stick to one idea only.
just one idea only. So math is like a try and error. You need to solve different kinds of processes, but you come up with the same solution. It is correct. It is, it's critical thinking is involved you because we are finding the facts. So that's why even they are senior high school, they don't know how to memorize. They did not memorize the multiplication table, the division table. They're still using calculator.
Oh.
Ganun yung
They're being practical.
I think so.
They're using the available technology, sir. Available technology kasi.
Yes, technology. Like what I told them. When I was in the Philippines, our teacher told us to memorize to have our recitation in front.
The finger method, sir.
Finger method. And then they don't know
Yes.
The
that.
finger method.
They don't know the finger method. They don't want to think because I asked them. If you're going to solve the board, you need to give me a reason why you come up that kind of solutions, and they don't want to think. That's why some of my students, they're really afraid to go to the board and solve their solutions because I need a reason. I need, you need to think and show me your solutions. How did you get that? And then how you do the process. Napakababa.
Yes. That's why, Sir Ronnie, that's a challenge for you there. You have to be the
Yeah.
catalyst of change.
That's
In
why
that.
in our department here in our school, they are 17 teachers, math teachers, 13 of them are Filipino. 13 of them are Filipino math
Intelligent.
teachers. Yeah. So, ayun lang po, in terms of critical thinking talaga, napaka-importante sa ating mga estudyante to develop how to find to find facts, to reason out, and
It should be process driven. Process driven.
formulate consciousness and judgment.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Ronnie.
me-
Let's go back to Sir Frederick.
Thank you very much. I just lost my connection. Okay, so let me just continue with the sharings, the one that I heard from the perspective of Miss Lolita, okay, Ma'am Lolita and Sir Ronnie. So the first thing that we need to do is to have to develop the critical thinking, especially here in Thailand. So because like like what we said, that yung mga Thai teachers, yung mga estudyante, wala na silang common sense. That is one of the weakness. That is one of the weakness of Thai students. They don't have common sense. They were not able to develop the common sense, which is where do they get it? From the teacher, from their teacher. uh Speaking aside about the training of the Thai teachers, I think they were not also trained when they were also in the college of education, or where just they are still studying. I think their formator or their formation, they were lack of common sense, or the logical thinking, or the critical thinking. That is one problem here in Thailand, na paano naging gano'n yung mga estudyante natin, especially here in Thailand. Kasi nagsimula 'yan dun sa mga teacher nila. Even we Filipino, even we impose that you should have a critical thinking, ay hindi na nila magagawa kasi they have more time studying to the Thai teachers compared to us, 'di ba? So makikita natin, so we can see a big difference if the students are studying with us for almost 1 week, or we met them, or we can see them at least every day, or let us say we are the advisor of that specific program, so we can put them, or we can practice them the critical thinking, which is I can relate. There are some program here in Thailand, especially those schools that are having programs where there is a Filipino teachers. Makikita ninyo yung mga bata, sobrang magagaling sila kasi gawa ng ang teacher lang talaga nila is yung Filipino teacher. Kung merong mang Thai teacher, yung Thai teacher is only an assistant. Yung paghawak ng buong klase ay nasa Filipino teacher. So that's why the Filipino teacher can practice the students with the critical thinking. That is just only based on my observation. That's all. Anyone?
May I add, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Here in Thailand, as you have already told, we call that food as spoon feeding technique, right? They are provided with so much information, so they don't have to make enough effort for themselves. So, yan po yung kwan nila dito sa Thailand talaga. Especially sa mga government schools. But
Tama, ma'am.
yes,
Tama.
but in our organization in BMA, because we're teaching 5 subjects. So, we are trying to change that. So, we are trying to change that, and hindi lang po spoon feeding lang ginagawa namin. So, lahat sabi nyo nga, Filipinos are the catalyst. Yes,
Catalyst of change.
yes, like Ma'am Michelle told us a while ago. We are trying to change that, Ma'am and Sir.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
We
Yes.
we are trying to change it. But sometimes we cannot please, sometimes we cannot please the Thai teacher. Sometimes 'di ba naiinggit sila. So sometimes kasi ang ginagawa nila sa mga bata, bini-brainwash nila. Yun din kasi pag minsan ang
Exactly.
problema eh. Yun din kasi ang problema eh.
Kuya, hindi, aside from the Thai teacher po, they have their own curriculum that to follow po. Yung parang MI.
Tama.
Pinakita ko yun kay ate kahapon because I was doing the TQF for the universities. Makikita mo talaga doon, kuya, yung differences ng na meron talaga silang guide, yung Thai teacher na ganito talaga gagawin nila. So, most of it is like spoon feeding. So, you have to memorize this one, only memorize, identify. So,
It's
aside
like
from, yun lang. Kasi makikita mo sa curriculum talaga ng Ministry of Education nila.
it's
So,
like
maganda
Miss-
kuya, papasok ka dyan.
Miss Catherine wants to say something.
yes, ma'am.
Miss
Kat.
Catherine.
Regarding what Teacher Isa said, and me, Teacher Isa, Teacher Ranico, Teacher Ronald, working in the same institution, we have this program. Okay, honestly, tulad ng sabi ni Ma'am Lolita at saka ni Ma'am Charlotte, meron silang sariling curriculum. We, BMA teacher, we have to revise our curriculum every year. I'm not sure, but like that. So, regarding naman doon kay Teacher Michelle, depende kasi sa kindergarten yon. Kasi may mga school, like may mga smart school wherein they have to do this kind of stuff. Which is sa mga small school na hawak ng BMA, hindi nila napapractice yan. So, we have differences. What I have learned in this for a long time, because I've been here for about 9 years now. So we have different ways different technique. We as a Filipino, very lucky because especially sa school ko, sinasabi nila na yung mga student namin sa EP program is smarter than our teachers. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Which is, kasi yung English nila, they can understand us. Meron kami mga Thai teachers, sometimes nagkakaroon ng, tama rin yung sabi ni Teacher Frederick na sometimes nagkakaroon ng parang a little jealousy. Oh, I'm so sorry, I have to tell like this one, honestly.
That's the reality.
That is reality.
Which is but we as a teacher like me, I have to, lagi tayong open-minded, lagi tayong, you have to be flexible to do our main goal na parang establish sa kanila yung what is our duty and responsibility as a teacher. Okay, so different. Maraming differences between the Thailand system and the Philippine system, which is luckily in BMA we have our own way. Kaya nga sabi ko, ano ba yan? Iba na naman ang curriculum. Parang revise na naman. Yung parang gano'n, wala silang, But still, Thailand is still, trying to improve, to help the Thai education system to be better. Yun po yung parang observation ko din. Pero depende rin depende sa school. Iba yung sistema ng school nila, teacher normalisa, iba yung sa amin, iba-iba. So, yeah, differences. Yeah, I think like that. Sorry.
Thank you, Ma'am Catherine. Mr. Christopher Celebu wants to say something, and then after that will be Mr. Ronnie. Sir Chris?
Yes, Sir Chris.
Oh, you're muted. We cannot hear you.
Hello po. Ano yun, ma'am?
You just raised your hand a while ago. Okay, Sir Ronnie?
Hindi po. Nakababa yung kamay ko.
Okay, Sir Ronnie then. Thank you.
Okay po. Ayun po talaga. So, addition lang po sa sinabi ko kanina. Tsaka kay Ma'am Chris Catherine. Ayun po talaga. In terms of education po talaga in the Philippines, napakaganda ng education system natin. The problem is the support. We have a lot of programs in the Philippines which could develop the students holistically, mentally, and everything holistically. But the problem is the support of the government. Like here in the US, we have support here. We have a lot of support in everything for the students, but the system in terms of standards, curriculum, they are weak. So I'm just telling you that. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you that, but this is true.
That's the truth.
When I'm going to compare what I've learned, the curriculum in the Philippines compared here in the US, napakababa ng standard nila dito. But the support is, full support of government. In terms of curriculum, work for students, developing, students' habits, Pilipinas po talaga. Magaling ang mga teachers sa Pilipinas. So that's why teachers in the Philippines, all over the world, they are hiring Filipino teachers because they know the capacity of Filipino. They are,
Yes.
globally competitive, and there's a lot of ideas. They have a lot of things that could offer. Like here right now, in our school district, our director is Filipino. Imagine that.
Wow.
So, ang daming puti na pwedeng mag-handle ng curriculum instructions, but they hired a Filipino to do curriculum instructions.
Okay.
Highly recommended Filipinos.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Sir Ronnie.
One more.
Okay. And then after Miss Catherine will be Miss Maria Cecilia, and then that will be the last, so we can have the
We can continue.
with the expository.
Then continue to the reporting.
Miss Cathy.
Okay, so I had experience teaching. I was a teacher before in Assumption Bangrap, wherein I am teaching Matiyum 5 mathematics. Semai. So I found out that most of the teacher there, the old teachers, yung mga old teachers doon, yung pinaka parang foundation ng Assumption ng mga matatandang teacher, they were graduates in Philippines. Yes.
Wow.
Sabi ko,
That says about the Philippine education.
that's why I asked them, old teachers na, we have master na, mga masters sila. Sabi ko, teacher, before, they told me that, you know what, Catherine, sabi niya, we studied in Philippines. Oh, really? Chai. So, that's why now, even though we recommend the parents to let their students study in the Philippines like what we had before, apparently mas gusto nila yung US, UK, okay, something like that. But we, all teachers na, ang dami all teachers, especially MES, graduate from Philippine NTC, NTC in Manila. Yeah.
National Teachers
National Teachers
College.
College.
That's why nakakalaki nila.
Mm.
But now, hindi na masyado kasi nga mas prepared nila yung para mga US, Assumption School here in Thailand. You know, yeah, that's why, sabi ko, mga teacher ko, ang gagaling nyo.
Diba? We should be very proud of our education system that way.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Kathy. We'll have Maria Cecilia and then Miss Ederlyn, and then that will be the last. So that we can proceed to
Yes.
expository. Okay, Miss Maria Cecilia,
Okay,
take it away.
good morning everyone. Good morning po Doc Alfredo and classmates. So, well, in terms of critical thinking of Filipino students, I think there are different factors affecting it. So, aside from the teacher factor itself and the student factor, kasi when we speak of critical thinking, usually, aside from the monitoring of the teacher, with regards to the students on how the student thinks, and the student should um, have it within himself or herself to analyze things. So I guess ang isang major factor pa po dito is yung strict consensus with the parents. I think the support of the parents are very important in terms of the critical thinking of students too, cause usually, like what Sir Ronnie said a while ago, in terms of basic math ideas, so dito po kasi sa Pilipinas, talagang there is strong consensus between the advisor and the parents. So pag alam nila na hindi nagagawa or hindi nakakasunod yung bata in terms of basic math concepts, talagang there is strong communication between them. So I think hindi lang talaga siya sa teacher factor, kasama din yung parents. So dapat may initiative yung parents din na ay ang anak ko hindi nakakasunod, hindi alam mag-multiply. So from the parent itself or the parent of the student, dapat may strong monitoring din. Yun po. Then government.
Yes, I agree, ma'am.
Kasi ma'am, sa tunay lang, ang teacher naman talaga ginagawa lahat, lalo na po dito sa Pilipinas. Pero minsan po, yung effort natin, hindi masyadong nakikita nila, nasisisi pa rin tayo. And then, from that, nakakalimutan ng parents na yung mga teachers may sariling buhay. So, dapat naman, as parents, talagang andun yung strict guidance nila and monitoring to their child. So, yun lang po. Thank you po.
Yes, I agree, Miss Maria Cecilia. Okay, we'll have Ma'am Ederlyn. That will be last before the expository.
Ma'am, nakamute po kayo.
Ma'am Ederlyn, you're muted.
Ma'am, nakamute kayo, ma'am.
Ayan, ay,
Oh,
narinig
yes,
na ako.
yes. Yes, you're
Ayun,
audible.
ma'am. Dinig ka na namin.
Okay. Mag-agree lang ako kay Ma'am Catherine na not even teachers are or finish their masteral or bachelor's degree in the Philippines. Even doctors and nurses here or dentists also study in the Philippines because
Wow.
Philippines is the cheapest among the Asia. Imagine you study here in Thailand, in one sem you will spend 35,000 in Ramkhamhaeng University.
True.
And Ramkhamhaeng University is a government institution. What if it is a private institution? So that's why most of the times prepare to study in the Philippines. And compared to US and United Kingdom, still Philippines is cheaper. So that's why they prepare to study there in terms of if they want to receive a higher quality of education. Yun lang po.
Yeah. So in all, it's Philippine education is more is affordable and quality. Okay,
Quality.
sir. Yes, sir Frederick.
And then, I think, ma'am, we can start our exploratory presentation. because
Yes,
it's
please.
already 8 a.m. Here in Thailand, but 9 a.m. in the Philippines. Okay, so whose group will going to be
Is
the
it
first one? I
Thailand
think
first or the
Thailand
Philippines?
or the Philippines.
So, you can decide po.
Okay, how about Thailand first?
Thailand first,
Thailand,
ma'am.
Philippines?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
we are going to 30 minutes to present your papers, and then
Okay.
after
So,
30 minutes
Yung
is
Thailand,
the group.
oh,
The
yung
group.
pang Thailand daw, highly recommend kasi may teaser.
may
Okay,
teaser.
okay, okay, okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
Highly recommended because it was
Parang, parang,
Okay.
parang ayaw na
okay.
namin mag-discuss kasi makikinig na lang kami. Parang ang ganda na yung abangan namin.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Team
Okay,
Thailand,
Madam
face seater. The floors are
Pace
yours.
Okay.
Setter.
Okay. Okay.
Setter. Pace setter.
Pace setter. Okay. Welcome to Pace setter team. So, so thank you for joining the presentation. My name is Ederlyn Aracena, and I'm your host for this presentation or session. But before we start the webinar, it is great to begin with a short prayer song. Let us put ourselves into the presence of our Lord Jesus as we listen to this song. Okay?
I love the Lord who listens to my voice and plea, who turns and ear to me when I call. Oh Lord, save my life from darkness and be my strength. I love the Lord who listens to my voice and plea, who turns and hears to me when I call. Oh Lord, save my life from darkness and be my strength. He is merciful and protects the simple. I was hopeless, but He saved me. How can I repay Him for the greatness He has done for me? I love the Lord who listens to my voice and plea, who turns and ear to me when I call. Oh Lord, save my life from darkness and be my strength.
Okay, so i-stop ko muna na dyan. So I know that song will lift your spirit. Okay, so okay. So so today we're going to present a very informative topic that we generally use in our profession as teachers and administrators. It is also an interesting topic for research studies. So this topic does not help the professionals who are working in the field of education, but
Also,
students, parents, and policymakers to inform the different stakeholders that includes students, parents, teachers, and institution either in public or private, the deeper understanding of the functions of assessment, evaluation, and monitoring. So let's watch this another video. So I will just prepare this one, our intro video. Okay, let me share. Proudly present Pangasinan State University Open University. EDF 303 Perspective of Education. The Pace Setter. Adeline, Ronnie, Ronico. Learning. Assessment. Monitoring. Evaluation. Education. The function of assessment, evaluation, and monitoring of learning and education. Okay, so that is our topic for today. So the function of assessment, evaluation, and monitoring of learning and education. So the first part of our presentation will give you the basic or the foundational information about what is the meaning of assessment, evaluation, and monitoring. So for us to understand what are the meaning of those words. But the main point of this presentation is to give you a deeper understanding what is really the function of education. Okay, and we summarize it in 5 points. So this presentation, so I will send my presentation. Okay, wait. So our presentation will discuss about the basic principles of assessment and evaluation and why it is necessary for unlocking the potential of continual improvement in teaching and learning. And we will differentiate what is the difference between assessment and evaluation. And also, the function of evaluation is to compare the quality of a performance or a quality of a work to set. So the objective of this study is to describe the difference, what I have said, and what is the accountability of each stakeholder. What is the accountability of the students, the parents, and the teachers and the school administration or administrators? To explain the importance of continuous monitoring of students' learning and education from the basics education to higher educational level. And also to identify the positive influence it brings to the students' attainment and future career, and to suggest possible interventions or recommendations to improve the Filipino students' understanding in the national and international examination. Okay, so before we start our discussions about the function and assessment and the definition of those words, we would like to have some short brainstorming for the teams. So, we will have a group activity where we will go to our respective team, like Philippine-based Team 1, Team 2, and Team 3, and Thailand to do some brainstorming about what is evaluation, what is monitoring, and what is assessment. So this is the okay. So how maybe I will send the link of the document in our chat, in our Google Meet chat room, so you can access your room. So we called it breakout room, where you will go to the respective you will go to your respective room to discuss in groups or by teams what do you mean by assessment and evaluation, and write only one word, just one word. Okay, in just a word. Okay, each team can do or input or encode at a maximum of 10 words. But it's okay if you will just put two or three, but the more the better. So maybe we can do it for 3 minutes or 5.
Merong ganun?
Ano, patayin ko na ito. susunod na lang sa ako. Okay, Ederlin, Ma'am Ederlin, the others,
Yes, Doc.
Doc.
the whole class.
Yes, Doc.
I'm very sorry. I'm going to leave you now.
Yes, Doc.
Anyway, the recording.
Thank you, Doc.
I have been
Okay, Doc.
listening. I've been listening even if I am not in front. I have been
Yes,
listening.
Doc.
As I was preparing, I was listening. So don't worry. I will see the recording maybe this afternoon or tomorrow. Okay? Or
Yes,
Okay,
Doc.
Doc. Thank you.
Take care
Michelle.
po.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, Doc.
Doc. Good morning.
Travel
Safe
safe.
drive.
I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll be
Take care,
back around
Doc.
12 o'clock.
Ingat po kayo. Ingat po kayo,
Okay.
Sir Doc.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Are you on your breakout rooms now?
I think there
Mahirap
are
pumasok.
none.
Yes.
Because we are in a current recording
Yes,
and
Google Meet.
yes.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
will
ang hirap
be
pumasok. Just ano lang, gumagana lang
yes,
issue.
because we
Sa
are
akin po bumabalik sa sa
yeah.
home screen
We have an
kasi
existing Google
parehong
Meet.
Google Meet. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we have an
Yeah,
existing
kaya
Google Meet and
mahirap.
So what's
Pwede bang ano na lang sa aming oo.
Group
Group
chat.
chat na lang? Yeah, we have our
I think group chat. I think
Group
group
chat
chat.
na lang.
Sa group chat.
Sa group chat na lang pwede.
type.
Meron
Tayo
Sorry?
ang ulit. Okay, Teacher Ice.
Pwedeng, siguro pwede saan, ma'am. Kahit sa papel na lang. Yung ganito.
Sa group
Phone
chat
ba na
na
lang?
lang.
Sulat na lang. Kasi one lang naman.
Mag-brainstorming na lang ang bawat group sa group. Kasi meron tayong group chat, di ba? Doon na
Yes,
lang,
yes, yes.
press na lang. Ayun na lang. Kasi
Sige.
ang hihina
yes. And then we're gonna share it
niya.
here.
Mahina kasi yung net.
Yes. Ayo, sige. Mas maganda, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you
yes. Let's go to the group chat and then we're gonna brainstorm there and then after which we're going to share our ideas later in the big group.
Sige.
Okay, so what's gonna be the activity? It's gonna So, Ma'am Ederlin, we're going to brainstorm on the differences between evaluation, monitoring, and assessment, right?
No, just only give us what is the meaning of evaluation. I mean, just give.
Just give a word about definition of
Yeah,
evaluation, assessment, and
evaluation.
Keyword di pa, kuya?
Keywords.
Keyword.
Ma'am Ederlin, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Ma'am Ederly, nakita na yung chat natin, yung chismis natin.
Ang tagal.
Hindi, Ranico kasi nag-ano siya. Nagahang.
Okay.
Ayan. Buti na lang walang picture mo, Ran.
Okay na ba?
Okay, yes, you're audible.
Okay.
Recorded po man din siya.
So, Ma'am Ederlin?
Okay, so
Yes, ma'am, go.
nalaman niyo tuloy na excited na si Ranico kanina. Okay, so you will go to this link, okay, Mentimeter. The link is in the Google Meet meeting. I sent it already. Hindi pa.
Meron na, ma'am. Naisend nyo na po.
Meron. Kasi nag-refresh ako kanina eh. So makikita niyo po what is assessment and what is evaluation. So,
Mentimeter. Okay. Maybe you can share the screen for Mentimeter, Ma'am Ederly, para makita
okay,
yung mga
Mentimeter,
papasok
not
na
the
mga
timer.
words.
Yeah, okay, wait. Stop. Window. Oh, one of the groups says inference.
Inference.
Yeah, so it's making progress now.
Ma'am Michelle, yung manok mo, kain na natin.
Ha? Wag, please.
Yung manok mo.
That is for my thematic learning about farm animals.
Ano na natin, Ma'am Michelle? Ilaga na natin.
May pangalan po siya. Ang pangalan niya ay Sam.
Parang masarap magtinola ngayon.
Correct. Sam, ma'am, Sam, sasabungin.
Oh, Sam.
Okay. So I think it's okay now, so we can proceed. Yeah?
Yeah, I think so, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So please, classmates, go back.
We will refresh.
Yeah.
Nasaan na sila?
Oo nga, nasaan na sila? Time's up na po.
Hello po. Hello.
Naantay namin yung pangalawa.
Oo. What's the
Ah,
next slide?
pangalawa.
We cannot see the next slide.
Oh, we're waiting for the evaluation ba?
Kala namin 2 oras.
Pero meron na naglagay po, rating, judgment, making decision.
Ah, okay. So dalawa lang, evaluation and
Yeah,
assessment.
dalawa lang. Okay, so let's go back.
Okay.
So based on your feedback, you said assessment is decision making, collection, appraisal, gauging, judgment, indicators, survey, failed, standards, way, tools, judgment. Oh, that's good.
Assessment failed.
Yeah, assessment failed. Yeah. Then, yeah, for evaluation, rating, judgment, making decision. Okay, so so now maybe it's time for me to give the floor to Mr. Ranico to explain the definition of assessment, evaluation, and monitoring. Yeah. So, Sir Ranico, the floor is yours.
Please share
Okay, I will share.
the slides. Okay, so good morning, everyone. So I'll be discussing about what is assessment, evaluation, and monitoring. So first, what is assessment? Assessment is the systematic basis for making influences about the learning and development of students. It is the process of defining, selecting, designing, collecting, analyzing, interpreting using information to increase students' learning and development. So these are the fundamentals fundamental components of assessment. So as you can see in the diagram, so we have the formulate a statement of intended learning outcome. And then next is you have to develop or select assessment measures. Next to here would be to create experiences leading to outcomes. And then the last one would be discuss and use assessment results to improvement. So continue the cycle. Next slide, please. So according to Bradford 2019, assessment is a considerable broader range of purposes and involves a wider variety of forms than its practical summative function. However, Shravantotsi and then Jensen says assessment has a considerable influence on students' performance. The same with Dinsa, Omar, and Wildrip 2017 says a systematic process for acquiring data on student attainment where Striven and Company 2005 also says assessment is the manners students think about classroom assignments and assessments are determined by how they approach learning. Next, please. So more of assessment definition and meaning with these different researchers and we have Michael Shriven from 1967. Education assessment is a development of the 20th century to distinguish between the role of evaluation, advocates the use of formative and summative assessment. And we have also Shriven 1967. Assessment is taught to serve two functions, which is the informative to improve instruction, and number two would be the summative to assess student process. And Gordon says the purpose of assessment to identify, estimate, and organize has evolved to promote the teaching and learning process in addition to accountability purposes. And Dinda and the group says teachers dedicate learning for instructing students on the areas for which they will be held accountable. Now let's go to the next, which is evaluation. So evaluation is the systematic assessment of the design, no? Implementation or result of an initiative for the purpose of learning or decision making. So evaluation is the structured interpretation of giving of meaning to predict or actual impact of proposals or results. It looks at original objectives and at what is either predicted or what was accomplished and how it was accomplished. So it is evaluation can be formative and can be summative. Next slide, please. So other researchers says evaluation is a number of researchers have uniformly concluded that evaluation is an act that provides a relevant opinion, says Niveau 2001, Friedman 2006, Rossi, and the group. So evaluations refer to the process of assessing or examining in in order to judge or evaluate its worth by comparing it to others or some form of benchmark, according to Ware and Roberts 1994. And Tyler says evaluation is a systematic process of determining the extent to which educational objectives are achieved by the students. The same with Ways 1988 says a systematic review of a program's or project implementation or results, including a comparison to hidden and obvious criteria with the goal of enhancing or deciding on the program or project in question. So these are the difference and similarities of assessments and evaluation. So as we can see, assessment is ongoing. In short, it is ongoing, is positive, is individualized, and provide feedback. However, evaluation provides closure, judgmental, applied against standards, and shows shortfalls. And the similarities of these two are required criteria, use measures, and evidence driven. Next would be monitoring. What is monitoring? Monitoring is a classroom management technique, loosely defined as listening to learners for their accuracy and fluency, or checking to see whether activities are going to plan and that the learners are on task. So the main purpose of monitoring activity is to collect information that will inform and facilitate improvement in class practice. It is essential that the information is recorded in an agreed, consistent manner which will allow the result from different experiences to be sensibly collated. Okay? So there are researchers says that monitoring is the effectiveness of learning is an essential element of overall management practice within all educational establishment. It is aimed very clearly at improving technique, teaching and learning, and the sharing of good practice in an important consequence of the process. So says the Scotland Schools Act 2000. Moreover, the effective schooling research identifies the practice of monitoring student learning as an essential component of high quality education. The careful monitoring of student process is shown in the literature to be one of the major factors differentiating effective schools and teachers from ineffective ones, says Kathleen Cotton, 2009. So as Miss Ederlin says a while ago, there are five function or points that we are going to discuss in our topic in our presentation. So, Miss Ederlin.
Okay. So yeah. So now we heard the definition and of the each term. So and we know what is assessment and what is evaluation. So assessment is still ongoing, but it's like quizzes and that we do every day, like giving feedbacks through verbal or written. But evaluation has a deeper value or deeper meaning. Okay, and also monitoring is very important when we do our job as a teacher in monitoring the progress of our students to maintain the high level of quality of education. So now we have 5 points to to cite about the function or purpose of evaluations and assessment and monitoring. So Mr. Ranico will explain what is point one and point two. Then Mr. Ronnie will explain the point three and four. Then I will explain the point five. Okay, so maybe we can start again for that one.
So I will be explaining the functions and purposes of point one. Our point one would be assessment and evaluation are tools for determining the effectiveness of teaching learning approach. So according to YNB 2020, an effective goal-oriented teaching learning sequences contains clearly understood objective, productive classroom activities, and sufficient amount of feedback to make students aware of the strengths and weaknesses of their performances. Moreover, Fisher says reveal a new evaluation model that enables educational program and project managers to evaluate their programs with a simple and easy understand approach. So the index of success model compromise five parameters that enables it to focus on and evaluate both the implementation and result of educational program. So aside from these points, we also conducted a survey, and we come up with this survey. Where is that? Okay, we come up with this survey. The result, our team conducted a survey to find evidence now in determining the effectiveness of teaching learning approach. So there were 41 randomly selected teachers and supervisors as respondents in our survey study. The findings reveal that 41 out of 41 or 100% use assessment. So figure 1.1. So use assessment as learning tool for their students, and figure 1.2, 33 or 80.5% agreed that the teachers encourages their students to assess their peers. It is also showed that 40 or 97.6 percent believe that assessment and evaluation measures the effectiveness of teaching and learning process. So we conducted this survey with the Filipino teachers, Filipino in the Philippines,
Yeah, Filipino
yes,
teachers in the Philippines.
Filipino. Okay, so that's the result of our survey. And let's go to point number two, monitoring of learning and education facilitate continuous improvement in educational standard. So the monitoring of effectiveness of learning is an essential element of the overall management practice within all educational establishment. So it is aimed very clearly at improving teaching and learning, and the sharing of good practice is an important consequences of process. So Scotland School Act 2000. So in seeking to achieve continuous improvement in educational standards, so there are key ones, or there are keys to follow. So first, or key points to follow, which is first, development planning. The second one is the implementation of school improvement strategies. And the third one would be monitoring and evaluating. And the last one would be continuing professional development of the staff. So all these processes must have very core of their purpose, improving the quality of teaching learning so that every child and young person can achieve to the limit of his potential. So in this context, it is obvious that particular importance must be attached to monitoring and evaluating the quality of teaching and learning. So we also conducted a survey about this, about monitoring of learning and education uh, in the Philippines. So we receive, where's that? We receive a result, as you can see on the monitor. So to find evidence in monitoring learning improvement education standard, there are 41 randomly the same people, randomly selected teachers and supervisors are respondent of the study. The findings revealed that 41 or 100% agreed that teachers monitor their students' performance, no? So parang lahat naman tayo minomonitor yung performance ng ating mga estudyante. So 33 or 80.5% involve the students in monitoring their learning. So 80%, no, 33% only, no. So they involve their students in monitoring their students learning. So and then the last one would be 40 or 97% respondent says the school has monitoring system or the student learning for the student learning and education. So as you can see the the figures. Next, we also conducted a survey about what is the basis that the students what is the basis that your students acquired the high standard education. So the same respondents, 41 respondents. So survey revealed that the students acquired a high standards of education on the following basis. So 33 or 85 or 80.5% classroom performance ranks the highest, no? The highest factor. And then 18 or 43.9% is the diagnostic test for the second, and then 11 or 26.8% national achievement test results comes the third one, and 2 or 4.9% are the summative test, and for finally 1 or 2.4% for the summative quarter test, project assignment, group activities, formative and summative tests. Summative tests and periodical tests were the least percentage in our survey that that we used in the basis that our student acquired the high standards of education. Next. It's already point 3.
Yeah.
So,
So
Miss Ederly.
I think the teachers in the Philippines use the assessment tool for guiding their teaching and the teaching process. And also, I would like to emphasize on this slide, on this result. So, do you involve students in monitoring of the learning? I think this is very important factors to improve the quality of education. We have to involve the students in their learning. They have to be responsible, right? And they have to have ownership of every achievement that they do. So it's very important because they are the main the main point that why we are doing this job is for them to improve, okay? Because we believe that children, our students, will lead our nations in the future. So if we have a better quality standards of education, we can perceive our future in a brighter way as also. So I think this one should be improved as well in the daily routine of the teachers in the Philippines. I think we need to improve and develop this one. We have to encourage students to be engaged with their learning. Okay? So maybe we can give the floor to Sir Ronnie to discuss the point 3 and point 4.
Thank you, Ma'am Ed. Thanks, Ms. Sir Ronico. So today I'm going to give some insight regarding on the evaluations results, indicate directions for remediating unsuccessful process of curriculum. Okay, so evaluations plays a vital role in terms of classroom and data processes in school settings. So it would indicate if your school progressing or not progressing, if the curriculum is effective or not effective. Okay, so educating pupils and core reasons for all teaching learning process which are undertaken in each classroom. That is true. So all of us, all evaluations that we are doing in ours for our students is undertaken inside the classrooms. Okay, so in a formal education platform. However, not all students can accommodate the learning process and this results in the different outcomes. Okay, so with this in mind, teachers need to create an intervention plan and let these other students fall behind and still catch up with the lessons being discussed, which is talking about remediating. Okay, how we're going to do remediations into those students who are failing in specific academic areas. So a remedial class is always an impressive way to solve common problems. This is correct. So I think all of educational systems using remediation or remediation plan in terms to address their concern regarding on those failing students. Okay, not only in this class but in totality. So a remedial class always impressive to the solve in common problem. That is why what's this? Tilgs and Skimmer 2000 provided a concept analysis of formal remediation wherein established a framework for determining concept, developing measurable outcomes, and describing when to implement and interventions. So this is important so that there is consistent and systematic way of delivering remedial class. So remediations, like what I said, is like a very important rule in terms of knowing if the students is passing or the students is failing in class. So what are the things that we're going to do to address those concerns and problems to our learners? So the process of remediating, and then how we're going to do remediations if we don't have evaluations. So the evaluations and remediations relations in terms of dealing with students who having a failing or passing inside the class in terms to the curriculum. So do we also identify if that curriculum implemented to our educational system if effective and efficient? Okay, next ma'am. So what is remediation? So we're talking about remediations, right? So evaluation or remediation. So remediation is the one of the things that we usually do if we already know the students are failing or this curriculum is not effective. So what is remediation now? So remediation has to do with righting a wrong or correcting a fault. Okay? So at a basic level, remediations or teachings means teaching again. So we usually do that. So like here, basic scenario we have here, we do remediation in class. So that's why we do like a credit recovery intervention plan as a form of remediation for the students. So content that the students previously failed to learn. So if they failed, so the teachers need to do a remediation. Okay, as a teacher recognize misconceptions or errors in understanding, they may focus on dismissing the below grade level materials before return to the grade level learning. So this is the thing that you are going to evaluate and assess your to the students, wherein we need to know the cognitive function of our students, if he's on track or he or she on track or not. So like you need to test and get the baseline of their cognitive functioning. So in curriculum, so before you're going to give the curriculum to the students, okay, in school, you need to do a evaluations of that curriculum. Okay, so before we're going to implement that curriculum in the school or in the district, you need to do an evaluation of that curriculum. And after that, if we're going to after that giving the curriculum and implemented to the school, and they found out that the curriculum is not effective, that's the time that they're going to do our remediations. So this is done early on or for the benefit of the learners during core instructions in hope of preventing the majority of students from requiring more targeted intensive intervention later on. Okay? So many teachers engage the remediations regularly as a natural part of instructions without formal process or even explicitly recognizing their actions of interventions reteaching. So if you're going to do remediations, it's like there's something wrong. There's something wrong on the curriculum that you have made. So that's why we're going to recap, review, and revisit those curriculum and correct what is wrong. Okay? Next, ma'am. So in remediation, this is also often guided for some sort of formative assessment. Okay? So whether formal or informal. So in order to gather enough insight to recognize large breakdown in knowledge that students are experiencing. So you need to gather the data, gather the information which of that basic standards of curriculum that you need to improve. Okay, so for this approach to be impactful, teachers must use a different method than the one initially used. Okay, so your strategy, your method is different in remediating the curriculum itself. For example, you have the strategy A. So if that strategy failed, you're gonna go to strategy B. Let's see what is more effective, the strategy or strategy B. If your strategy B is failed in terms of formal assessment and giving remediation to the students, you need to proceed to strategy A. You need to have a planned interventions. So teachers must, Brian, teachers must use different method and that one initially used. One that builds one previous learning and focuses on the specific gaps and student thinking experience the first time around. Okay, so ideally, remediations or reteaching is done early in the learning process before additional skills are taught and formal mastery test or summative exams is administered. Okay, so remediations. Next. So 3.1, do you conduct regular assessment evaluation of the curriculum? This is our team conducted a survey of 40 word studies about how evaluation results indicates a direction for remediation for unsuccessful processes of the curriculum. So the following results of data were collected and reported. So the purpose of this survey was examine an implementation program. Findings were analyzed and discussed of 5 themes who were identified central to the survey that played a critical role in the development of implementation of programs. So the themes included remediation, simple tasks or instructions, interventions, encouragement, parent partnership, and others. So these are the themes. These are the themes that the respondents choose, which is the best among of these themes that we're going to use if the students failed in the class or failed in learning. So these 4 themes were critical components that help shape teachers' perceptions as well as their level of self-efficacy. So an increase of level of administrative support in these common theme areas would serve to further improve upon teacher perceptions, which would turn support continue growth mindset among the teachers and further promote a successful programs for the students. So here are the chart. Now, there's the result. This is a survey tally chart that we gathered, and this is a 41 respondents, random respondents, is in the Philippines. So, and most of them answered the best thing that they can provide for those students and who failed in the curriculum is the remedial. How many people answered that? Can you go back, please? Thank you. So remedial 19. Simple task instruction, 4 of them answered. Interventions they need, 7. Encouragement, 5. Partnership, 1, and others, 4. Okay, so this is the bar graph. So 3.2, how do you help slow learner students to meet the challenges of learning issues in the curriculum? So I know we have diverse students. So our students having different kinds of cognitive functionings. Some are very fast learner and some are very slow. And there are students who are like good enough to understand the concept of educations or learnings. So now teachers use data and aligned resources to transform instructional methods and empower students to take ownership in their learning. And what are those? First, what does this look like in our classroom? So how and what does it look like in our classroom? First, use pre and post assessments to assess growth. Okay, so in our class, before we're going to start, we do our pre-test just to test what they have, what prior knowledge they have before we're going to give the curriculum, right? And the post assessment is to determine how far they already know on that curriculum, and how their growth and understanding in terms of the learning that they acquired in the specific, area or knowledge that they are learning inside the class. So use common formative assessment within grade levels, content areas to monitor progress. Yes. It means formative assessments with in their grade level areas, but some others areas, for example, and in case I'm gonna give you some example. So here we have a lot of formative assessments. Before we're going to do our remediation, we need to know where they at on their cognitive level. So I have my students were in grade 12, but the cognitive functions is grade 7. So how we're going to do our remediations using those, data that they gave, or the result that they have gave. So you need to monitor the content areas of these students. Okay, the third one, offer remediations and reteaching for specific students based on their specific weaknesses. So our students, they have strengths and weaknesses. So for example, your students, they are really very low in solving basic equations. So you need to focus that, and you do our remediations in order for them to be on track and catch up those lessons. Okay. Next, encourage students' reflections and ownership of their learning after assessment. Okay, so fifth, involve students in designing their next step strategies through student conferencing. So you need to have our, conference with the students, what they need to do, what they need to learn, and come up with a plan. Next one. Next, ma'am.
Okay na po, sir.
Okay na po ba?
Next ka na. Flexible.
Okay. Those are the steps that we going to use when we're going to remediating in order for our students to be on track in the curriculum that we're going to give to them. Okay, ma'am. So here we go. Another one. Give assignments based on the students' need and differentiations. So our students, they are different. Our students is like a diverse, like what I said. They learn They learned according to their, the way they do. So give assignments based on the student needs and differentiations. We need to have a different like strategies in order for them to learn. Collect data to support MTSS. What is MTSS? So this is a student success. Okay, masters of student success. So we need to collect the data about their mastery level. Review item analysis with students after assessment and correct misconceptions. So we need to have an item analysis. This also is very important. So because it would determine which of the topic that students do really understand or not, which this topic will really the students could easily catch up or having a hard understanding. So participate in data discussion based on the student learnings, the PLC, grade levels, school district or district levels. So when we have our meetings, we need to collaborate with the other teachers, not only for you, but also on the district meetings or the grade level meetings, because collaborations with the other teachers is very important. Thus, getting the informations based on the performance of every students in class. Next, ma'am. Okay, so so number point 4 is the evaluation. Give baseline information for future evaluation for planning. So what are those? So evaluations are in broad sense, okay, concerned with the effectiveness and program. So through evaluation, you'll be able to know your program, your curriculum is effective, or not. So while common sense evaluations has a very long history. So evaluations research, which relies on the scientific method, is a young discipline that has grown massive recently, according to SPEL 2001. Evaluation is a systematic process to understand what program does and how well program does it. Okay, so how program does and how the program does it. Evaluation results can be used to maintain or improve program quality, to ensure the future planning can be more evidence-based. Evaluations constitute part of ongoing cycle of program planning, implementations, and improvement according to Clayton 1987. So make evaluation part of your communication. So evaluations, we need to be a part of our communication program. So every now and then, if you want to know if your student or the curriculum that you are implementing in your class, you need to do an evaluations. So don't tack it at the end. The evaluation experiences is like to be more positive, and its results are likely to be more useful. And if you build evaluations from the start and make it ongoing activity. This includes planning the summative evaluations before interventions begins as a part of planning process, which helps to clarify program goals and reasonable outcomes. So evaluations, like what I said, plays a vital role in order for you in terms of your planning process, as well as if you're going to continue that curriculum or not. If you're able to know the curriculum, if effective or efficient or not, you need to do an evaluations as a form of assessment, to do a formal and a summative assessment. Next, ma'am. So what type of evaluation should I conduct? Now, there's the questions, okay? So what kind of evaluations we should conduct? So we're gonna conduct a formative and summative evaluations. Okay, so formative evaluations are conducted during the program. Development and implementations are useful if you want direction on how to best achieve your goals and to improve your program. So it is during the program, formative evaluations. Next, we have also summative evaluations. Should be completed once your programs are well established and will tell you what extent the program achieving its goals, and that is a summative. Okay, so table 1, types of evaluation with informative and summative equations. So it's gone. I'm done already with that. Yeah. So actually, I have my table, but I forgot to share. I have here on my notes. ang hirap kasi ang hirap kasi i-share ng table. So you need to do a formative to determine who needs communicating program and how great needs um, and to meet the needs of the learners. So involves audience research and inform audience in terms of segmentations and marketing mix. So strategies. That is for formative. So in terms of summative measures effect and changes that result from a campaign, as well as investigates to that extent of communication programs. So summatives is the process also indicates if you're going to do an interventions to your curriculum or program or not. It's also tells you by achieving the good outcomes or bad outcomes. Okay? Thank you po.
Okay, so maybe I will just add some info that we have to remember that education is for all, and we have to support the students in how they can access the curriculum. And we know that curriculum is the structured of what the students needs to learn in that year for that age. And I think what is missing or lack in our educational system in the Philippines is the structured or support system for students who cannot access the students. So for example, in my work, I do support system for students. We also have EAL supports like the English language support. But in the Philippines, we don't have that one. All of the tasks, all of the responsibilities are all put on the teacher, in the classroom teachers. So I think the educational system in the Philippines must be improved in that aspect also. They have to hire more
Yep.
specialists to support the students and also the classroom teachers. So that is
Yep.
the one of the support system that miss in the from the depth ed. Sir, yes, there is a hands up.
Sir
Sir Cyrus,
Cyrus.
yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I want to agree with Ma'am Ederlyn.
Yeah.
Kaya po kayo, kasi po 'di ba sabi bakasyon na daw po kami
Yeah.
ngayon. Simula po noong July 10, but hanggang ngayon po kasi ang dami pa rin po namin ginagawa ng mga papel na parang dapat tapos na siya. Kagaya po kahapon, hinihingan na naman kami po ng mga assessment, ng mga score. Eh, nakagraduate na po yung mga eskwela namin. Dapat po hanggang doon na lang mismo yung responsibility.
Yeah.
Pero, yun, parang
Na-extend
wala akong
dahil
pasok.
you're the teacher.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Sir Frederick.
I think ma'am siguro much better sa atin sa Pilipinas. Mag-hire na rin dapat kasi ang DepEd ng mga para teachers.
Yes, that is the
'Di ba? I think that is one of the program that they can provide. Hire
yeah, that's
Um,
hire a para teacher.
in, okay, so Sir Fred, thank you for that. In relation for that, kasi the problem in the Philippines, they did not categorize in terms of kasi nagkakaroon ng para sa isang school if they are highly needed. So for example, in the Philippines, we have special education class. So we have they need to categorize what's the needs of those students. So in order for them to hire para. And one factor why they are not hiring para because maybe of the budget.
yeah.
So implementations of the program, planning the program, passing the bill is they need a budget, but the government doesn't want to propose that.
Pero sir, may bagong ipinopost si Wing Gatchalian. 'Di ba? Dapat they must propose a bill like that one, hiring a para teacher instead of passing a bill that teachers before students go to the College of Education should take first an assessment test if
Yeah.
they go to the College of Education.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think also about the administrative task for the classroom teachers in the Philippines is quite heavy. For example, lesson plan. The DepEd issue printed lesson plan, but the teachers need to write it again, right? So I think they have to put some policy about how can they help the teachers as well, not only to give tasks for the teachers to make their work heavier instead
Yeah.
of focusing on the students, teaching the students in providing good quality and more knowledgeable lessons. Some of the teachers spend most of their time in checking, right? In checking of the students' work, writing the lesson plan, researching for the worksheets, uh, doing the modules, right? So maybe the educational system in the Philippines should also look at that aspect.
Yes
Yeah.
po.
So yeah, in the Philippines, like what I said, they are really idealistic in terms of creating programs for the learners, for our students that we're going to implement in every school, so in or every district in the Philippines. But the problem is like the budget, like what we're talking about,
Yes.
and the support. So number one is the support. If the program is very like effective to the schools, they need a support, a budget. They need to have a tangible budgets, like support money. How we're going to work, how the teachers are going to even the Philippines, the teacher is not well compensated. They have a lot of works, but the compensation is not enough for them. We've been there, so we all know that. So
Yeah, according to
that's the problem.
yeah. And also what Mr. Sir Sayos said, pati other task ng agency na pupunta sa teacher like during
Correct.
election, right?
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
very it's also life threatening, especially the politics in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
But they
So
also put the teachers there.
yeah. So you're supposed to be the benefiting on the program that we're going to implement in the DepEd. But the problem, like other agencies, they also put those works to the teachers, like deworming, bakuna.
Yes.
So why those teachers are going to do that? Why the other,
Yes.
other agencies, Department of Health, we gotta go there and do those things. But the teachers are required to do the
Yes.
things.
So
So which is not a
Dito
problem.
mga earthquake drill.
I know, when I was in the Philippines, I just asked, hindi naman ako nurse. Bakit trabaho ko to?
yes.
Hindi naman ako barangay
So that
health
is the
center. Bakit
problem.
kailangan ko mag-worm? Alam ko ang trabaho ko, teacher. Bakit ako ganun nagtatrabaho ng ganito? So that's the problem.
Okay, so let's go on to the last one. So the next presenter can present. Okay, so the last point is assessment, evaluation, and monitoring of students' learning and education enhance institutional organizations efficiency and efficacy by providing a focus for teaching staff and administrative effort. So the first one is the teacher's evaluation. So the school administrator always conduct teachers evaluation, and I know when there is an evaluation the teachers need to provide to prepare, but this is also useful for maintaining the quality of education of our students. So according to Campbell, 2004, the impact of classroom elements such as teaching method, teacher expectation, classroom organization, and usage of classroom resources on students' performance is known as teacher's effectiveness. So if the teacher is effective, so he can deliver an effective and fruitful lesson to the students. So teachers' evaluation can be used to strengthen the connection between the evaluation and assessment framework and classroom practice. So this is for teachers' improvement and accountability function. So based on the survey that we conducted, do the teachers meet the criteria of effective quality assurance in teaching? So most of our Filipino teachers believe that they meet. Okay, so they are confident that they are providing a quality education. Maybe because of some other factors that also hinder on that aspect. Okay, so next is school evaluation. So self-evaluation. So it's very important for the schools to conduct self-evaluation to see to use the data for planning and assessment and for future program. So So the students' data collection and analysis from students' assessment and testing, as well as satisfaction survey. So useful diagnostic evidence regarding their students' performance for schools' overall performance. It aids in the identification of difficulties related to the learning and teaching. So does the National Achievement Test result impact the school morale and motivation? And that is so 97.6 believes that it impacts because that is also a measurement. It's just measure the effectiveness of the quality that the teacher provide in the students, but don't stick on the result like if they fail that you are not doing your job. So it's just a gauge or a measuring information or analysis. So there is also a school improvement plan. Okay, so maybe I will stop my presenting for this one because I will show you a video. So how does the National Achievement Test impact the morale of the teachers? So I will next that one. So this is from the principals.
How does the National Achievement Test results impact school morale and motivation? The National Achievement Test is a standardized test set by the Department of Education in the Philippines and administered to students in grade 3 and grade 6 in the elementary, grade 10 and grade 12 in the secondary. The test aims to determine the academic performance or levels of strengths and weaknesses, as well as the knowledge acquired in all major subjects throughout the year by the learners who took the test. The results of the National Achievement Test serve as helpful guide for school heads and teachers as their benchmark in identifying interventions to improve instructions and curriculum. The results serve as the basis for crafting their school improvement plan and basis for policy formulation. High national achievement test results means high positive impact to all the efforts of the school heads and teachers. It means also that there was an excellent implementation of all the programs and projects of the Department of Education in the school level. This also means positive result of the collaboration of all the internal and external stakeholders. High national achievement test results would motivate the teacher to do their best to raise the level of the quality of basic education. The result of the National Achievement Test serve as guide for policymakers, administrators, and curriculum planners to meet the educational goal.
Okay, so that is the perspective of the school administration about regarding the assessment and evaluation. So they use the evaluation data or analysis to plan for school improvement plan. So what is a school improvement plan? So in the Philippines, each of the schools have the power to conduct or to plan by themselves, and they are receiving funds on that one. Okay, so one approach to maximize students' academic achievements attainment. So it strengthens school units' capacity to identify important educational issues and address them through budgetary consideration, as well as ensuring transparency and accountability through procedural mechanism. So according to World Bank in 2010, so when they started the program, the school-based management, and then okay, so there was an improvement in the national achievement test. Okay, and then so the test score have improved from a mean of 55% in school year 2005 to 2006 to 65% in school year 2007 to 2008. So when they started that program, the school improvement management plan, so there is a positive improvement in the students' achievements. Okay, so these are the data. of the NAT. Okay, so maybe we can skip that one. Okay, so before I will just reshare this one. So So this one is the performance appraisal system for teachers, and DepEd also imposed this criteria how they're going to evaluate the teachers. And this one is the school improvement plan. So they have different categories like, so these are the problems that they notice in their schools. Where is it now? Oops. Oops. Okay, it's okay. So it has different categories where you can see the, so those are the issues that their schools are facing, and they have to plan for it. How are they going to improve those areas? And the schools will allot some funds for that one in a year, and after a year they're gonna evaluate it. What is the outcome of that project? Okay. So let's go to conclusion. So we could conclude that assessment, evaluation, and monitoring helps our initiative and program for students and schools to achieve their goals. Teachers are not the sole responsible for students' learning. So parents and students must be involved. Okay, students should take ownership of their learning. According to PISA report of the Department of Education, when the students are engaged to their learning, they perform better in the national achievement test and also in the classroom. So further studies into this area will help us understand the impact that it can pose on the learning achievement of the students. Thus, consistent monitoring and evaluation of the educational system can aid us to achieve the goals of the educational agencies of our country for us to have a better quality of education, workforce, and leadership in the future. So maybe you can, okay, so recommendations. So teachers must be skilled in the development of assessment and evaluation techniques so that the conclusion drawn from the data and scores are reliable, useful, and not susceptible to misinterpretation. So teachers and students must be familiar with assessment evaluation for national and international tests. So criteria to improve achievement results. So once you give the exam, of course, you have to tell the students what is the criteria. How could you get good marks for that? So that is the thing that we should also inform the students how they're gonna receive mark so they can meet that criteria. So 3, conduct curriculum review, teach students the deep mastery of the subject through carefully foundational learning and understanding the materials. Each grade is a building block. So that is the secret of Singaporean educational curriculum. So each year is a mindset. They provide visual demonstration for the students to understand it carefully and to develop their critical thinking and for deep mastery. Then 4 is promote parental support. So according to the estimation, parental support is always favorable connected with test scores. This means that parents' commitment and support in their children's education should be encouraged in general, and in particular for failing students where this has a strong influence. Then number 6, recommendation, national test score results should be disseminated more widely in public use file should be created. As noted in Section 2.2, the Department of Education conduct standardized examination on a regular basis at various levels of the basic education system. So they conduct not for grade 3 students, grade 6 students, and grade 10. So, and the findings should be used to guide the department's policy decision. Furthermore, the findings should be extensively distributed so that the general public is aware and properly guided about the educational quality of our country. So when I check the website of PSA, the Philippine Statistic Office, to look for the result of the national achievement test, what I see in their website is until 2012. So it means the government website is not updated. Okay. So 7, take into account the function for the evaluation of teachers' effectiveness before making a decision on the appropriate measure to use. Then finally, develop appropriate measure to collect critical information about teachers' contribution that go beyond students' achievement score gains. This could include creating a criterion that conveys evidence of a teacher's leadership activities within the school. His collaboration with other teachers to formulate strategies to support students who are at risk of failing, or his participation in a study group to associate the curriculum with government standards. So those are the recommendations from our team on how we can improve the educational system through the function of assessment, evaluation, and monitoring of learning and education. So thank you po for listening to our group. Sir Frederick.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Ederlyn and the group. Okay, so I think we need to proceed to the next reporter, to the next group, because it's already 9:31. Okay, so may I call the Philippine team, the team one. So go ahead, please. So the floor is yours. Sir Chris? Sir Chris, Ma'am Marites and Ma'am MJ.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. May I acknowledge my teammate or the chairs? Hello, nandiyan ba kayo? Okay na?
Dito po kami, sir. Nandito. We are here. We are here, sir.
Yung mga teammate ko po, ma'am. Sir. Acknowledge, Ma'am Vidal. And
Hello sir, nandito po kami.
okay na? Ma'am Marites and Ma'am Mary Jane.
Si Ma'am
When
Jane.
we start?
Ma'am Jane.
Okay.
Ma'am Jane. Hello, Ma'am Jane.
Hello, hello.
Ma'am Jane.
Yes,
I'm glad.
I'm here po. Laging lang po.
Okay.
Okay.
So, good morning, everyone. Before we're going to start the discussion, may I give some commendation to the presenter kanina. Lalo na yung mga nauna, si Ma'am Michelle, Ma'am Sir Fred, and also the Team Thailand. Ang gagaling nyo. Okay, so very informative. Yan. Nagkaroon tuloy kami ng idea para at least na mas gaganda ng konti yung aming presentation. Okay. So, despite of short preparation, ayun, medyo apurahan na lang yung aming ginawa. Although, we give time naman para at least, sabi nga kung narinig ko kanina, when it comes sa DepEd kasi, di ba, ang dami-daming daw trabaho. And siguro isa rin yon. Kaya ang masasabi ko lang din, na natural talaga na pinagsikapan na tapusin pati yung discussion namin. Sana magustuhan niyo yung aming discussion. Okay, by the way, Ma'am Marites and Ma'am Mary Jane, isa po sa aming technical director is Ma'am Mary Jane. Hindi ko alam kung sino yung magiging technical director namin kasi sabi, narinig ko lang kanina parang Brown out daw yata sa kanila. Nakasaksak ata yung... Okay. Ayan na.
Hello, sir.
Nasaan na? Meron?
Hello,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir.
Go po.
Okay na. Naka-flash na po yung... Kasi hindi ko nakikita mo.
Okay, saglit lang po.
Saan po?
Slideshow ko lang po,
Para
sir.
makita rin ng ating mga doctors. Future doctors of education and the world. O, di ba? Ninenervyos pati yung aming PowerPoint.
Nininervyos po sa internet connection, sir.
Yes. Yung pati yung PowerPoint medyo... Okay.
Black pa rin ang lumalabas. Pero dito po sa... Okay na po ba?
Nakikita na po.
Okay na po, ma'am.
Okay na,
Kita
ma'am.
po. Visible
Nakikita
na
na
po.
po.
Visible na. Visible na.
Yung first slide lang po. First slide.
The first.
Diba? Yan. Parang gusto na i-forward naman para matapos na daw. Ayan. Okay. Okay. So the first slide, if you can see, that is my great grandfather, si Lolo Albert. Okay. So in this slide, let us ponder on this quote by Albert Einstein. Bigyan ko lang po kayo ng mga ilang segundo para at least medyo mapan lang natin. Mamuni-muni or maintindihan lang ng konti. O kaya parang at least makita nyo kung siya ba yung nawawalang lolo nyo. Okay, so I think that is done. How far do you know about Albert Einstein? Anybody? Ayan, thank you. Galing ng sagot.
I
Okay,
think,
so
sir.
later we will be having an yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, Albert Einstein is the father of the modern science. I think the father of modern physics.
Yes.
And
Yes,
hindi
sir.
lang siya isang mathematician. I think he is also an educator and a
Yeah.
philosopher.
Yeah, parang nasa kanya na lahat, sir.
Sana all.
Oo nga eh, galing. Okay, thank you, Sir Frederick. How about the others from the other country or planet?
Si DepEd Secretary Lolita. Yung ating DepEd Secretary.
Sino ba si Albert Einstein? Albert Einstein is to be known as the great genius. He is actually to be known as the father of, ano ba yun? Father of what we call science. Ano ba yung kanyang formula? I can't remember. But he had a great contribution when it comes to the development of science, development of especially geometry. Geometry ba yan? Yeah. Basta science. And until now, in the 21st century, Albert Einstein is to be considered as the greatest genius. Yun lang.
Saka sir,
Thank
saka
you,
sir, isa pa.
ma'am.
Si
Yeah.
si Albert
Sige po, sir.
Einstein po ay hindi
Opo,
naliligo.
mas maganda.
Ba yan?
Correct.
Parang narinig ko.
Fact yan,
Parang-
facts yan ma'am.
Ito po yung
narinig ko.
ganong, yes.
yan,
Oo,
Kaya
parang
kaya
kare-kare.
kung mapapansin niyo yung hair niya
Siguro
medyo
isa pa, sir, isa
Ako
pa.
po,
Sige.
Track ba
sir, isa
yan
po.
o baka chismis lang,
Ay, sino
sir?
po? Isa pa. Ay, sige,
Isa
sige
pa po.
po. Sige, sir. The more na may
So,
magko-comment, mas maganda po.
ayun po, for me, for us, as far as I know, Albert Einstein, the one who stated that all the things, when you throw up to the hell, to the air, it falls down to the center of the earth.
That's
Okay.
the gravity, sir.
Gravity.
Gravity.
Yes, study comes up. Yeah. What comes down? Thank you, sir. Ronnie. Okay, and the last, wala, may nagpatay na. Ay, ayun, hindi. Si Ma'am Catherine sana kung pwedeng, Ma'am Cat? Dr. Cat?
I'm sorry.
Wala na siya. Busy yata siya.
Wait.
Ang
So
ganda,
I think
ang ganda
I
ng ngiti.
think
Ang ganda ng ngiti ni Ma'am Catherine.
Natatawa kasi ako na nung sinabi mong nawawala mong lolo. Sabi ko nga, oo, siguro baka
Ay.
nawawala ng isang lolo. Okay, meron siyang formula na very popular. Diba? Yung his equation is equal to c squared, which state about the energy. So actually kung ngayon siguro he is one of the good influencer kasi alam mo naman sa atin ngayon yung parang ano natin ngayon yung sitwasyon natin ngayon is not like before. Kumbaga kung dadalhin mo siya dito sa modern natin ngayon, parang isa siyang influencer. Yun, naano ko lang, nababasa ko lang siya eh.
Opo. Yan. Okay. Thank you, Madam Catherine. Okay. And for the additional siguro if I'm not mistaken, Albert Einstein have one of the highest IQ. Tama ba? Parang umabot ata sa ilang hindi
Yes.
ko lang sure kung parang ganun tayo pang nakapagdagdag doon sa kanyang data. Kaya medyo nakaka-inspire. Okay, so thank you. So siguro later we will be having a short or kahit sabihin natin mga 3 sentence lang. After discussing with you our topics, it will be your turn to give your insight and ideas. Okay. Now, good morning, everyone. So the topic is all about the difference and significance of teaching, learning with the following perspective: teacher-centered philosophies, and also we have the student-centered philosophies, and the last is the society-centered philosophies. Ayan. Okay. So kanina pa ito nadi-discuss, naririnig namin na lahat ng halos mga sinasabi ng ating mga speaker, lalong-lalo na start kay Ma'am Michelle, Sir Frederick, and also the Team Thailand, which is the first presenter or the first yung nag-discuss kanina. And now let us move on to the objectives. So the first objective is all about identify the differences and significance of the different teaching learning philosophies. Then followed by the differentiate each philosophy in teaching learning process. And the last one is explain the differences and significance of the different teaching learning process. Sige po, move na tayo, ma'am. Ang aming technical director. Okay, so when it comes to the definition of terms, may I request my teammate, Ma'am Mary Jane and Ma'am Marites, to please do the honor.
Thank you, sir. A pleasant morning to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
So in order for us to have a better understanding on our discussion, let us first define the following terms. We have teacher-centered philosophies, which refer to the philosophies that transfer knowledge from one generation of teachers to the next. Student-centered philosophies focus more on training individual students. Society-centered philosophies focus on the students instead of a group or a population. We also have essentialism, which is a philosophy which pertains to the teaching of basic skills or knowledge of the curriculum. And we also have perennialism, which focuses on the great ideas and teachings that have lasted over centuries. So for other terms, it will be defined by Ma'am Marites. Ma'am Tess?
Thanks po, Ma'am Jane. Good morning, everyone. So another definition of SERVs is progressivism, a philosophy which believes in progressive ideas about education, sees students as individuals who have the right to progress at their own pace, and they demand teachers to allow that to happen. Next is existentialism, a philosophy that emphasizes the existence of the individual person as free and responsible agent determining our own development through acts of the will. Constructivism it is a philosophy which stresses hands-on learning and students actively participating in lessons. Another definition is humanism, a philosophy that stresses the importance of human factors rather than looking at religious, divine, or spiritual matters. So Reconstructionism emphasized the addressing of social questions and a quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. The last is behaviorism. It is a theory of learning based on the idea that all behaviors are required through conditioning. Take it away, Sir Chris.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Marites, Ma'am Mary Jane. And now let us move on to the another slide. So, what is philosophy? So, when we're talking about philosophy, so philosophy from the Greek word philia means love, and sophia means wisdom. So, that is what we call the love of wisdom. So, when we are talking about love, love is the strong desire for a particular object. And the other one, the wisdom, is the correct application of knowledge. Next, please. Okay, and also, philosophy is interrelated with the education and it plays a major role on how the teacher, the students, the society, and the educational program can be improved. So that it can be provide the major needs of a learner. In this topic, we will tackle how philosophy and education are linked together, which help the teacher become more effective in teaching. So the major educational philosophies can be broken down into three types. We have the teacher-centered philosophy, the student, and the last is the society-centered philosophy. And here is the tree-centered philosophy. When it comes for the teacher-centered philosophy, we have the essentialism and perennialism. Under the student-centered philosophy, we have progressivism, existentialism, humanism, and constructivism. The last one is the society-centered philosophy. We have reconstructionism, and the last one is behaviorism. So for the deeper analysis, let's go to the deeper on these educational philosophies. Ayan. So by the way, before that, here is our first discussant, okay, an essentialist, perennialist, to discuss with about the teacher-centered philosophy coming from Bulinaw, Pangasinan, Ma'am Mary Jane Vidal. Take it away, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Essentialist and perennialist talaga. Okay. So there are some philosophies that are considered to be of traditional in nature. That's why these philosophies are called teacher-centered. Okay. So one of these is essentialism. So when we say essentialism, what comes into your mind? Anyone? You can unmute your microphone so that you will be able to share your ideas also. Anyone? Essentialism?
Ma'am,
back
po.
to going back to ay sige.
Yes,
Ako
ma'am.
muna, sir. Going back
Ah,
to the essential skills. Kaya nga siya essentialism because of when it comes to teaching the students, we are to go back to what are essentials. Like for example, yung 3 R's natin, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, so what are to be the essential skills? Okay, so yun lang.
Thank you so much,
Just to
ma'am.
share.
From the root word essential and from the suffix ism. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, may
Yes, sir.
nagtaas po si
Yes.
Ma'am Catherine
Yes, ma'am
Martin.
Kathy.
Okay, from what I have learned with Teacher Michelle this morning, the keyword for essentialism, I'm not sure if I'm correct, it's belief. Tama ba ako? Kay Teacher Michelle discussed some philosophies this morning and she gave us a keyword. And then I remember essentialism, the keyword is belief. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It was already discussed by Ma'am Michelle this morning. Thank you so much, ma'am. So when we say essentialism, it is from the root word essential. What is being essential? Necessary, important. What else? Required, and another
necessity,
what?
ma'am.
Oh, necessity.
Necessity.
Okay, yes. It
Like
is
right
needed.
now, it's ACQ again. So
Ah,
what are
yes.
those essentials?
Food supplies. Okay. So in the teaching learning process, essentialism refers to the teaching of basic skills or the knowledge of the curriculum. It is all about training the students to read, write, speak, and compute logically. And it is focused primarily and basically to provide strong academic foundation. Sabi nga ni Ma'am kanina, 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, the proponent of this philosophy is William Bagley from Michigan, USA. And according to Wikipedia, this educational philosophy believes that children should learn the traditional or basic subjects thoroughly. So it trains the students with essential or academic knowledge, enacting the what we call back to basics approach. Maalala po na yun, back to basics tayo. Okay? So essentialism also promotes moral values and ethics in students, instilling in them with the sense to become educated human beings. So this discipline is also maintained when we say essentialism, and there is also a due respect to authorities. And in this philosophy, the role of teachers play a major role, no? Or it is very indispensable, necessary also. It emphasizes the teacher's authority in the classroom, wherein the teacher will serve as the primary source of knowledge, that is imparting knowledge, dispenser of knowledge. Okay, the teacher is also responsible for instilling respect in the minds of the learners and for guiding the students towards a better future. So when we say essentialism and the teacher teaches with authority, what techniques do you think are being employed in this kind of philosophy? Anyone? We have maybe lectures, right? Lectures, rote memorization. It was already stated before during our first session or first discussion that rote memorization is being utilized in Thailand, and wherein learners tend to listen while the teachers are pouring out of knowledge in the minds of the teacher. So actually, nung kapanahunan po namin, marinig mo lang ang lagatok ng sapatos ni teacher, nanginginig na, ano po, magtatakbuhan na sa loob ng classroom, uupo na, and then kunwari, behave, pagpasok ni teacher, good morning, ma'am. And then right after that, sabi ni teacher, okay class, copy this, finish, dismissed. Ganun lang po siya. And after that, ano po yung ginagawa natin? Goodbye, teacher. Tapos hawalan na naman ulit. Ano? So, pag nandyan na si teacher, bow down ka agad. Good morning, teacher. Unlike ngayon, no? Hello. Ganyan na lang ang ginagawa po natin. Yun po. Okay? So, we move on. The next teacher-centered philosophy is perennialism. So it is again from the root word perennial and ism, the suffix ism. So this philosophy focuses on teaching of the things that are of everlasting importance to all people everywhere. So this philosophy focuses on teaching of the things that are of everlasting importance to the people everywhere. Sabi niya dito. Okay, so when we say everlasting, so what is true today will be true also tomorrow. The goal of education is for the students to focus on the great ideas and teachings of Western civilization. So these ideas are everlasting truths and are constant and not changing. Thus, in this philosophy, the accomplishments of the humankind have lasted, which have lasted for centuries, are being focused. Okay. So this philosophy also believes that teaching principles to the students will develop critical reasoning by analyzing the works written by history's great philosophy and thinkers that transcends time, and never become outdated. Since we have already said a while ago, it is everlasting. Okay, and now we have here the different images on the differences of essentialism and perennialism. So there is, when we say essentialism, the goal is to ensure the students acquire a common core of knowledge in the systematic and disciplined way, while perennialism is on the teaching the learners with things that are everlasting in nature. Okay. Right. So essentialism also includes traditional disciplines of the three R's, the reading, writing, arithmetic, and sometimes we have the add-on functions here or disciplines. We have literature, history, foreign languages, mathematics, science, art, and music. While on perennialism, there is an emphasis on the great works of literature and art, the laws, or principles of science. Okay, essentialists believe on the changes of knowledge, while perennialists believe in everlasting knowledge. The focus in essentialism is only on essential skills, while on perennialism, the focus is on personal development. In terms of curriculum, essentialism is fact-based, while perennialism is principle-based or a principle-based. Okay. And now, what is the significance of this teacher-centered philosophy, or what are the significance of these significances of these teacher-centered philosophies in the teaching learning process? Well, so the student or teaching the student, I should say, with skills are being developed in a sequential manner. So meron po yung proper procedure. Okay, so we have to lay down first the foundation of the learners. There must be a strong foundation. They must have to learn the three R's or the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And then afterwards, we have that should be done in the primary years or primary grades. And after that, in the latter years or the higher grades, reasoning, critical thinking skills should be also developed to the learners. So that is the significance of these teacher-centered philosophies in terms of curriculum. Okay, so that's all about the teacher-centered philosophies. Back to you, Sir Chris.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. What remarkable discussion you have give us an idea on what are the teacher-centered philosophy. So again, when you say teacher-centered philosophy, the two isms that is being involved are the essentialism and the other one is perennialism. Thank you, ma'am.
Perennial.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so let us move on to the next Kung kanina is isa siyang essentialist, now let us move on to the next philosopher. Ay, okay. So we have Ma'am Marites Valdez from San Carlos City, Pangasinan. Ma'am Marites.
Thank you so much, Sir Chris. Hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Okay. So, as teacher, when come to teaching, we always put our minds and efforts into what we do as we teach our students. We plan on what knowledge and skills to teach, how we are going to teach them, and how we are going to assist their performance later. We will try to find ways of delivering the knowledge and skills in the best possible manner so that most, if not all, of our students will be able to catch what we have taught. So as we are teaching not one or few but many students, they are not similar in terms of experience, existing knowledge and skills they have and bring into our classrooms. We have to accept that they are diverse learners, students of different strengths to offer and weaknesses and needs to be fulfilled. Therefore, when teaching them, they need to be treated differently. Our teaching then has to be student-centered instead of teacher-centered. So student-centered learning is a concept that can be traced back since early 20th century. It was first mentioned in the writings of Frank Herbert Hayward in 1905 and was later credited to John Dewey's work in the 1950s. So student-centered philosophies focus more on training individual students. These philosophies place more emphasis on the individuality of students and helping them to realize their potential. So next slide, ma'am. Thank you. So one of the philosophy of the students centered is progressivism. Focus on the whole child, not on the teacher. Meaning, the ideas must test through active activities and experimentation, and effective teachers give experiences so that the students can learn by doing. Okay? So progressivism is based on the positive changes and problem-solving approach that individuals with various educational credentials can provide their students. Progressivist educators are outcome-focused and don't simply impart learned facts. Teachers are less concerned with passing on the existing culture and strive to allow students to develop an individual approach to tasks provided to them. So Jean-Jacques Rousseau and John Dewey are the guiding minds of progressivism. So Jean-Jacques Rousseau maintained that people are basically good and that society responsible for correcting them. He supported education in nature, away from the city and the influences of civilization, where the child's interests would guide the curriculum. And John Dewey proposed that people learn best by social interaction and problem solving. Dewey developed the scientific method of problem solving and experimentalism. So next slide po. Thank you. Okay, another philosophy of student-centered is existentialism. So, existentialism helps children to find the meaning and direction in their lives. Existentialists do not believe that the truth is objective and applicable to all. Instead, each of us must look within ourselves to discover our own truth, our own purpose in life. Okay, what is our purpose in life? Okay, education from an existentialist perspective places the primary emphasis on students directing their own learning. Students search for their own meaning and direction in life, as well as define what is true and what is false, what is pleasant and satisfying, what is unpleasant and, dissatisfying, and what is right or wrong. The goal of an existentialist education is to train students to develop their own unique understanding of life. So, next slide po. So, Existentialism in the classroom is a powerful rejection of traditional and particularly essentialist thinking. So in the existentialist classroom, subject matter takes second place to helping the students understand and appreciate themselves as unique individuals. So the educator's role is define their own essence by exposing them to various facts they may take in life and by creating an environment in which they can freely choose their way. Next slide po. So another philosophy is humanism. Emphasize nature and the goodness of humankind. It is a philosophy or a way of thinking about the world. Humanism is a set of ethics or ideas about how people should live and act. People who hold this set of ethics are called humanists. Humanists prefer critical thinking and evidence, emphasize nature and the goodness of humankind. So the teacher here should understand students through the senses that education is a gradual and unhurried process of human development. This approach tells that the students are the authority on how they learn, that all their needs should be given for them to learn effectively. For example, students who are hungry won't have much focus during the class to learn. To learn, tama po ba? Nagugutom na po ba tayo?
Oo. Gutom na, gutom.
Tama,
so,
ma'am.
Gutom.
so this
Humanism.
so this approach so this approach tells that the
Correct.
students so this approach tells that the students are the authority on how they learn, that all their needs should be given to them to learn effectively. Okay, next slide po. So that's why schools offer break times for meals so the students' needs are met and they can concentrate in their learning. So humanistic teachers believe that knowledge and feelings go hand in hand in the learning process. Cognitive and affective learning are both important to humanistic learning. So a safe learning environment, because humanistic learning focuses on the entire student. Humanistic educators understand that they need to create a safe learning environment so students can have as many as their needs met as possible. They need to be feel safe physically, mentally, and emotionally in order to be able to focus on learning. So humanistic educators are passionate about the idea of helping students meet as many of their needs as possible. So next slide po. So another philosophy of student-centered is constructivism. So students can engagingly construct their understanding of reality through interaction with their environment. So students control their own learning process and they lead the way by reflecting on their experiences. So this process makes them experts of their own learning. The teacher helps create situations where the students will safe questioning and reflecting on their own processes, either privately or in a group discussion. Okay, next slide po. So another example is students keep journals in a writing class where they record how they felt about the class projects, the visual and verbal reactions of others to the project, and how they felt their own writing had changed. Periodically, the teacher reads these journals and holds a conference with the students where they to assess. The first is what new knowledge the student has created. The second, how the student learns best. And the third or last, the learning environment and the teacher's role in it. So the teacher create activities that lead the student to reflect on his or her prior knowledge and experiences. Talking about what was learned and how it was learned is really important. So by focusing on student-centered philosophies, school system and educators will be able to make necessary changes to create effective and life-transforming environments for students. So that's a student-centered philosophies. Thank you. Here now is Mr. Chris Silibio from the home of 100 Islands, Alameda
Ay,
City, to talk or discuss about society-centered philosophies. The floor is yours, Sir Chris. Thank you.
well, Thank you, ma'am. Humabanda ilans talaga, no? Okay, thank you, ma'am, for that fruitful and informative discussion. And to complete the topics, hello, classmate, nandiyan pa ba kayo?
Hello, Sir Chris.
Hello.
Wala pong
We're
break.
still here,
Humanism.
sir.
Still here.
Ay, hello po. Okay.
Humanism
Ayan, yan
na,
sila.
humanism.
Yeah, I'm just
Oo.
power
Gutom
interruption.
na po tayo.
Sige. Okay lang
Gutom
po
na po
kung
tayo kaya
sakali.
hindi pa nakakapag ano.
Gusto niyo magkaroon tayo ng break kahit 5 minutes lang po or diretso na tayo?
Sige na, diretso na.
Diretso,
Diretso po.
diretso na tayo.
Diretso na, Sir Chris.
Diretso na, sir.
Yes sir. Mga siguro 30 seconds lang to tapos na. Okay
Come
lang yun
on,
sa akin.
elaborate
Oo,
more.
Kanina pa ako nagsasalita kaya sabi ko mas madali yung sa akin ng konti. Na-discuss na ng aking mga kasama. Anyway, so to complete the topics, since ang mga first na discussant ay mga essentialists, then mga philosopher, since my name is, siguro pwede rin naman isama kasi my name is Christopher, Christianism, yeah. Okay, so I will be discussing about the society-centered philosophy. So under the society-centered philosophy, we have the reconstructionism and also the behaviorism. Thank you, ma'am. Next slide, please. Ayan. Sakto, nag-battery low yung sa akin. Oh my God. Okay. Sige, kaya pa to. So when it comes to reconstructionism, education is a tool to solve the society's problem that leads of creating a better society. So in this case, educational philosophy is focused on the curriculum that highlights social reform and the aim of education. And this is because all the leaders are product of education. Totoo ba yun, kung sakali? Or they are the product of education? Ang mga leader ba natin sa ngayon? Yes. Oo.
Yes.
Oo, yung product of
Siguro, sir,
education,
yung
product,
iba.
yung iba daw. Why, sir? Bakit mo nasabing yung iba?
Kasi, kasi sir, yung iba, di ba,
Sige lang po.
di ba kasi,
Habang kinukuha ko po yung chart ko, sige.
kasi di ba yung iba, sir, tumatakbo, even though wala silang ganong strong background sa sa politika. So, parang parang hindi lahat ng mga yung sa mga political natin, yung mga politiko is hindi talaga sila product of education.
They're product of
Yeah,
experience.
just only my opinion.
Sir, another one? Anybody, please? Makapag, natin. Kahit isa lang po. Isa pa ho. Yan. Nakuha ko na yung charger. Okay, so siguro dahil bibilisan na lang natin ng konti. Another one is reconstructionism. Is school should teach the following curriculum that is designed to foster such development, especially in this day and age. Tama ba? A lot of social problems we are facing. So sa ngayon, lalong-lalo na dahil sa pandemic, not only here in the Philippines, especially sa Thailand. Sabi nyo nga, nabalitaan ko ng Thailand is under ng ECQ ba o GCQ? Tama ba, ma'am? Yes, okay. So maraming problema, hindi lang sa ibang bansa. Siyempre, ganito rin dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. Through education, it is important to educate a generation as a problem solvers with a mindset that can correct previous mistake of the leaders, making sure not to repeat them. That's why we are Filipino na yung present natin na mga leaders on this era, like for example is Rodrigo Roa Duterte, yung president natin, na maraming pagbabago, although yung iba maka-Duterte, yung iba naman is hindi. Ang pinaka-importante na lang siguro na ating makita ay binigyan ng kaunting pansin
yung problema ng society. Although wala naman nagiging perfect na president, so all we have to do is go with the flow na lang. Sometimes kasi pag nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na leadership mistake, ang nangyayari sa atin lalong-lalo na sa mga trabaho natin, although yung mga OFW including mga local teachers, yun, isa pa sa narinig ko kanina is yung salary. Ano po yun? Hindi po natin pwedeng ikaila yun kasi actually ang salary natin dito sa Pilipinas is although in-increasean tayo pero nagkaroon ng 4 na tranche, 4 or 5. So dahan-dahan nare-reach na natin yung tinatawag na increase. So hindi natin masisisi na yung ibang mga teacher is or teachers ay pumunta ng ibang bansa. Just to gain higher or for greener pasture. Okay, next slide please. Yan. Another one is the reconstructionism. It's not just a philosophy but also a remedy for the society to seek and build more socially ordered environment. Yun, totoo yun. So, i-observe lang tayo na sometimes kapag ang society is hindi na nagiging kumbaga yung sinasabi natin hindi na siya naging maganda, so ang ginagawa ng iba sa atin, we are shout-outing through social media. Kung hindi naman social media, di ba? Pag nag-uusap ang mga teacher, ang mga iba-ibang sangay ng government, so through discussion na ilalabas natin yung ating mga idea or yung ating mga recommendation. Thank you. Next, please. Yan. Ayan, ang bilis. Dalawa lang po sa akin. Behaviorism na yung last. Okay, so again, when it comes sa behaviorism, believes that the interaction with one another give benefits to society. Okay, so ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is yung inside the classroom, the behavior. Okay, this system is based on rewards and punishment. When we say rewards and punishment, nandito yung mga, kung makikita nyo or mapapansin nyo yung graphic na aming ginawa, ano po yung napapansin nyo dun sa bata? Anybody?
Nakakuha siya ng A+
Ay,
or the
A+.
highest score.
Nakakuha siya ng highest or A+. Ano pa ho? Yan. Okay, so isa rin sa napansin ko A+, that is siguro yung parang reward yan. No? Sometimes kasi ang mga students or ang mga bata, kapag once na nakakakuha sila ng syempre ng tinatawag nating good classroom record or yung tinatawag natin na maganda yung kanilang performance, sometimes si teacher nagbibigay ng rewards. Tama po ba? Yung mga natuturo ng elementary? Tama ba? Not
Yes,
only
sir.
in elementary, kahit po siguro sa what we call this, the secondary and also pati yung senior high. Okay, behaviorists believe that if teachers provide positive reinforcement or rewards, whenever students perform a desired behavior, they will learn to perform the behavior on their own. Yan. Kaya nga minsan may kagandahan din po na ang mga bata halimbawa nagkaroon ng tinatawag na very good performance inside the classroom or outside. So ang ginagawa ni teacher para ma-encourage, the more na ma-encourage, ina-acknowledge na po natin sila. Kasi sometimes yung iba, pag once na may ginawa siyang mabuti, ang number one na pumapasok sa isip niya kagad, tatakbo siya kay teacher. So tatakbo siya kay teacher, teacher. Oh, ito po yung aking ginawa. No, yan. Tapos ikaw naman, since kailangan, pansinin mo yon. Kasi once na hindi mo pinansin yon, magkakaroon ng impact doon sa bata na, ay ano ba yan? Parang hindi naman ako pinansin ni teacher. So napakahirap ng trabaho ng teacher talaga. So lahat ng dalaw ng mga bata at kung maaari na ating napapansin. Binibigyan natin sila ng reward, o very good. Yan. Parang ganun po. And then the other one is the same concept applies to punishment. So it's either good or bad, same concept pa rin po yung ina-apply natin. But for the purpose of the age of the child, kapag halimbawa nagkakamali yung bata, pwede natin silang pagalitan, pero in a same manner yung tinatawag natin na hindi naman masyadong ano ba yung tawag doon? Yung parang masyadong pinapakita natin nagbibitaw tayo ng hindi magagandang salita. Nowadays kasi, kung noon, sa kapanahunan nila mother, actually yung mga estudyante nila pwede pa nilang paluin. Yan. Pati ako, a victim of eraser. Tamaan ako ng eraser ni teacher. Kasi isa akong aktivista noon. Isa rin ako dyan. ako yung nangunguna na pag halimbawa, wala si teacher, yung mga ganun. Ako yung pinakaunang nag-break kasi wala siya eh. Diba? Tapos pag biglang dumating si teacher, ayan. Pagkatapos ng klase, syempre ako yung kawawa kasi inuto ko sila na wala si teacher pero nandyan pala. Parang ganun, alam mo yung kalokohan pero nakakatuwa yung mga ganun. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Lang po. Nawalan lang po kayo ng audio for a split second, sir.
Ay, okay. Naririnig niyo na po ako?
Yes, sir. Okay na po.
Ay, okay. Pasensya na po, medyo ngayon, kung kailan po ako nag-report, ngayon po dumating yung bago. So, ang ganda ng timing. Okay lang po, salamat. Okay, so next slide na tayo kasi yung bagyo is sabi niya, bilisan mo na. Okay, behaviorism. Ayan. Think that people act in response on internally or externally generated physical stimuli. Totoo yan. They basically consider human nature to be the product of one's environment. Then, an example of behaviorism is when the teacher rewards their class on a certain students with a party or a special treat at the end of the week for a good behavior throughout the week. Kumbaga, actually, sa atin, karamihan naman siguro sa atin is what is this, yung kanilang nature of work is teaching. Siguro iba na lang dito yung mga nasa ibang yung nasa ibang sangay ng gobyerno. But as we apply this into real life, anybody na magkakaroon naman, kagaya halimbawa, sabihin na natin sa isang classroom, ordinary classroom lang. Kung napansin niyo yung graphic, nilagay namin yan. Kasi kagaya siguro ng isang classmate nila, mayroon siyang naibigay o na-share na any idea or parang kaya yun pinalakpakan siya. And then may mga times din na ang mga teacher is nagpa-promise ng it's either kumbaga a special treat at the end of the week or parang ganon. So minsan kung hindi ganon, natutuwa si teacher, minsan ang nangyayari is it's either yung ating mga exams, halimbawa, o yan. Dahil behavior or ang performance ng ganitong klase is nagustuhan ni prof or ng teacher o kaya ng sino man na may hawak or may handle ng subject na yun, is binibigyan ng isang klase. Okay? It's either exempted na tayo sa final, parang ganun. Yan. At parang na-experience ko yun ngayon. Sana nga, diretso tayo doon. And then the same concept is used with punishment. So kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, kung sa bata is medyo nagkaroon ng tinatawag na yung behavior is good, syempre may reward. But if the performance or the behavior of the student or the class is not expected, kumbaga yung tinatawag natin na medyo hindi nagustuhan ni professor or the teacher, yan. Yung same punishment is ibibigay sa atin. Pero in such a matter naman na kung college or high school na mga malalaki na, hindi naman yung siguro the way na mapapahiya tayo. Siguro mayroon lang mga privileges na hindi na ibibigay. Okay, next please. Behaviorism that can take away certain privileges if the student misbehave. Yan. Kung napapansin nyo, yung ginagawa ng dalawang bata is hindi ko po masyadong naintindihan pero nilagay ko lang yan. So, nung tinanong ko yung aking mga kasama, ang sabi nila is nagpapahabaan sila ng dila. Tama ba? Ayan. So, sabi naman ni Professor doon sa harapan, sige, ayusin nyo at kukunin ko yung aking parisukat at susukatin ko yan. Joke? Okay. So, siguro tumatawa na lang si teacher. Hindi naman yung kahit nag-misbehave yung kanyang mga students, he just yung kumbaga maintain pa rin yung temper niya, hindi yung basta-basta siya nagagalit, nginingiti na lang niya. Kasi the more kasi tayong mga magagalit pa sa mga ganyan na klase ng estudyante, the more na ma-stress out tayo. Sabi nga nung ibang mga narinig ko kanina na nagsalita from Thailand and also here from the Philippines, at yung isang ating teacher, senior high school teacher, na sinabi niya na maraming trabaho tapos biglang problemahin mo pa itong mga estudyante mo. 'Di ba? Parang loaded ka na. Hindi mo na alam saan mo ilalagay yan. Iniisip mo yung trabaho mo tapos bigla ang estudyante nandito na. Ito yung tinatawag na pag nagturo ka as a teacher, kung ganito ang klase ng estudyante mo, I think 1% ang magiging accuracy nung or percentage ng pagtuturo. The other one, 99% is yung nagsasaway ka. Tama ba? Pero kung hindi, siguro 50-50 na. Oo, 50-50 na lang natin. Sana nga, yun na lang pakiusap ko na kailangan pa rin ng mas mahaba at saka yung talagang pagtitiis sa trabaho. Kasi ito yung pinili nating profession. That's why ito yung ating fashion, and sa hirap ng mga pinagdadaanan natin, alam ko yon, lalong-lalo na yung nasa ibang bansa, lalo na yung nasa Amerika ba? Si Sir Ronnie, tama? And also yung mga taga-Thailand, yan. Ang daming pinagdadaanan. What more pa kaya kung kami na nandito sa Pilipinas, problemado na kami. Iniisip ko nga kung yung mga nasa ibang bansa ganun din kaya. Paano kaya sila nag-a-adjust? So ang hirap. So let's work together. Okay, next please. Ayan. So I hope we have shared with you the significant learning about our topics. And these are the summary, just to give you a summary or the summary for the different discussant. May I give the teacher-centered philosophy to Ma'am Reporter or the discussant. Ma'am, pakibasa na lang po yung sa inyo po. Ma'am Mary
Yes, sir.
Jane.
Okay po.
Yes, ma'am.
Teacher-centered philosophies emphasize that the best way to ensure student learning is to ensure teaching uniformity. Essentialism is one example of a teacher-centered philosophy of education. It is similar to perennialism, however, it emphasizes personal development rather than necessary knowledge.
Okay, thank you Ma'am Mary Jane. And doon naman sa ating student, yung aming pinakabata. Siyempre kaya napunta sa kanya yung student. Binigay namin sa kanya. Ma'am Marites Valdez.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, for the summary of student-centered philosophies, focus more on training individual students. These philosophies place more emphasis on the individuality of students and helping them to realize their potential. Students and teachers typically decide together what should be learned, as well as how this can best be achieved. Okay, back to you, Sir Chris.
Okay, thank you Ma'am Marites. Yes, thank you. Society-centered philosophies as go beyond focusing on the student and focus instead of a group of population. Pero medyo naku-confuse ako dito or nakipan lang ako kasi society sabi niya pero nakafocus sa student. Pero siguro dahil group of population magiging society. And then society-centered philosophies focus on educating a group of people. Tama. Then whether a minority group or the world as a whole. Tama yun. Rather than a curriculum or a student. The objective is to improve the society as a whole. Yan, malapit na tayo. Next slide, please. So, yan. This one is also a recap for the philosophies of education. Sinimple na lang po namin, nakita ko ito through the YouTube channel. Actually, sa review ng pagkuha ng licensure exam for teachers, in-screenshot ko na lang po siya. Kaya sabi ko parang maganda ito na i-present sa school para mas madali yung pagwan. When it comes to essentialism, yung first is learning the essentials like 3 R's. Kagaya ng na discuss ni Ma'am Mary Jane, the 3 R stands for read, write, and ano yung isa, Ma'am? Arithmetic, tama ba?
Arithmetic,
R's.
sir. Arithmetic. Arithmetic.
Yes,
Pero
thank you.
small
Yes,
letter
so,
ang A, R ang capital letter.
oh, kaya parang shortcut na lang, arithmetic. Yes. And also the perennialism, we have the utilizing the great books. Ayun, totoo yun. Kaya nga kung mapapansin ninyo yung kanyang discussion kanina, essentialism is nakafocus sa basic skills and also sa 3 R's. Then, on the perennialism, utilizing the great books, kumbaga yung tinatawag na continuous, kumbaga yung last for a long time, everlasting. Tama ba, Ma'am Mary Jane? Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
And then next is progressivism, learning by doing, by our very own philosopher, Ma'am Marites Valdez. Sabi nga niya, when it comes sa progressivism, learning by doing. Totoo yun. Kasi nga, pag ang bata kasi may mga pagkakataon na yung bata, pag hindi niya ginagawa kasi hindi niya natututunan or hindi niya alam. Kaya hindi nawawala yung tinatawag nating ano bang tawag nito? Yung actual. Yan. Then, essentialism, having individual choice. Kaya nga yung mga bata, napapansin din natin picture, may iba-iba po silang ano bang tawag yan? Profession. Yan. Then, followed by behaviorism. Kanino yun? Akin? Okay, so behaviorism, modifying behavior. Yun lang naman yun eh. It's all about behavior. Sa bata, sa teacher, sa lahat. Kasi as a whole society yan na yan. And then constructivism, constructing meaning. Yan. So, it's all about constructing or social reform. Yun yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina about the society. Yung ating mga leader, yan. Kung hindi maging maganda yung kanilang naging performance sa term, so next term sana, pipiliin na naman natin kung sino yung kumbaga parang, kaya nga tinawag na education is a key to success or ano yung sinasabi kanina na magiging tool para sa better society. And the last one is reconstructionism. Okay, ito na yon yung isa pang sinasabi ko. So, reconstructionism, having a social reform. Ito pala, kasama rin pala ito doon sa sinasabi ko about the social reform. Okay, thank you. Next, ma'am. And our group is so much appreciative of your cooperation from all of us in our group. Our gratitude to all of you. Special mention to our professor, Fred Aquino. And we would like to end our session by giving you this quote of one of the philosopher. So, si Albert Einstein or Einstein, education is not learning facts but the training of the mind to think. That's all, and mabuhay Philippines. Go for God. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Sir Alfred.
Thank you very much, Sir Chris and the group, the M squared S. MS squared C.
Wala na po
Yes.
kami maisip
So para
na
para talang mathematics ano. So to sum it up, Ma'am Michelle?
To sum it
Ma'am
up,
Mitch,
I
to
think I will
sum up?
just, so from the beginning of the discussion until the end, I was glad that the philosophies, the educational and the world philosophies, made an introduction because it's interconnected with everything that we have done today. And then I just wanted to say something about this is just a personal view that my classroom is not just a having one philosophy. I realized that it's a mix of everything, of every goodness that this philosophy has. So it's not just one. Before I was thinking it's just progressivism because I'm on experimentation and experience. But then I found out from the very good discussions from our classmates that my classroom is a mix of everything that's good in every philosophy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Michelle. So, classmate, any questions from our reporter, or we are going to end our session for today because it's already 10:34 here in Thailand and 11:34 in the Philippines. So alam ko pong gutom na po tayong lahat, and then some of us are hindi pa nagbe-breakfast, and then it's already lunch. Si Sir Ronnie tutulog na.
Can we
Tutulog na.
just have a one
Yes, sir. Matutulog.
Sure, one
picture na lang?
picture.
Photo op tayo.
Can you please on
Uh,
your camera po?
yes, all cameras open, please.
Si Sir Nico nakakain na. Nakatulog na.
Ma'am
Magigising na
Maricel,
Sir Nico.
Sir Christian, Sir Christopher.
Awa, Sir Nico.
Pasensya na,
Okay,
nagutom
let's
ako.
just wait for everybody.
Nagutom na
Pero hindi ko pa nakikita yung
Yan. So we're still waiting for Sir Cyrus and Mr. Ronald. Okay. And still two others not in the not on the camera.
Si Sir Ronald pa.
Picture.
Nakasando po ako.
Okay. Sir CJ?
Mamas muna po ako.
Okay. Okay, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Ready and smile. Okay. You can also take photos, take screenshots, and then I will just share it in our
group.
Group.
Okay.
File.
So this is the end of our session for today, Ma'am Del?
Yes.
Yes.
A very heavy discussion.
Yeah, right. So next week we're going to have the two groups, okay? The Philippines and the Thailand, and then we are the last, the group number 3. Okay? And I hope sana wala na tayong mission paper.
Yeah.
Praying for that, sir.
Reward natin yan.